In the outer spatial void, just like the entrance to the land of immortal remnants, there was another vortex-like portal, which was the other end of the exit. Lin Jing stepped into the exit and emerged here. Upon leaving the land of immortal remnants, Lin Jing immediately felt a sense of relief. The force suppressing his divine sense disappeared, and his divine sense returned to normal. However, Lin Jing still couldn't relax because, even after coming out, the entrance to the land of immortal remnants was still occupied by cultivators from the Zhang and Qingling realms. Although the cultivators that remained here were not as strong as those inside, it was still not wise to provoke them. Thus, Lin Jing continued to display his arrogant and aloof demeanor, striding out confidently. Indeed, as a cultivator of geodemonic path, not just the Zhang realm, but even cultivators from Qingling realm found him detestable and preferred to steer clear. No one wanted to strike up a conversation with Lin Jing. After leaving the entrance to the land of immortal remnants, Lin Jing flew off rapidly towards the distance. It was only after he had traveled far from the land of immortal remnants that Lin Jing removed his disguise and reverted to his true appearance. This time, his escape was incredibly smooth. Even the several unexpected scenarios he had imagined beforehand did not occur. It had to be said that his luck this time was quite good. Then, Lin Jing took out a map from his space ring, which Elderby had given him earlier, and started examining it. The outer spatial void was immensely vast. It could even be described as boundless. If one was not careful, it was possible to get lost within it. The areas where the cultivators from Qingling, Zhang, and Qingling realms operated were actually not that large. They could only move within the voids, not too far from the borders of the three realms. At the same time, there is a stable void region between the three realms, located at the center of the boundary walls of the three realms. The area was sizable and not easy to get lost in. Additionally, this area usually contained many resources from the void, which were even more abundant than those within the realms. Therefore, most cultivators from the three realms who came to this outer spatial void congregated here. Lin Jing was currently right in this location. The place Lin Jing intended to visit next was situated within the void, a place known as Demon Emperor City. That Demoness Empress lived within Demon Emperor City. As it was located within the same region, Demon Emperor City was also not very far away. Of course, this not very far was relative to the void. For Lin Jing to travel there with his current speed, it would take several months at least. Several months might not mean much to Lin Jing, but for Elderby and the patriarch of the Qingling clan, who were currently still in peril, every moment of delay added to the danger. Once Lin Jing had confirmed his intended direction on the map, he wasted no more time and set off. Lin Jing departed from the entrance to the land of immortal remnants, crossed the central void area of the three realms, and at last, after 5 months, he arrived at Demon Emperor City. On this journey, Lin Jing also encountered other cultivators, even from the Zhang realm and Qingling realm, who wanted to kill him for his treasures. Among these, Lin Jing counterkilled 3. There were a few whom Lin Jing couldn't defeat and ultimately escaped using system space. This outer spatial void was shared by the three realms. Encountering cultivators from the other 2 realms was not surprising at all. Murders for the sake of treasures naturally occurred frequently. After experiencing 2 ambushes, Lin Jing had seen through the rules of survival in this outer spatial void. Here, one not only had to guard against cultivators from the other 2 realms, but even those from one's own realm. One time, Lin Jing was sneak attacked by a fellow cultivator from the Qingling realm, who was also from the Eastern Spirit realm and had some connection to the Elixir Alliance. This person had seemed very friendly towards Lin Jing initially and had almost become sworn brothers with him. When he learned that Lin Jing was heading to Demon Emperor City, he also expressed a desire to accompany him. However, the moment Lin Jing took out the innate Dao treasure Jinghong furnace during an encounter with enemies, the man's eyes changed. After driving away the enemy, his greed overpowered him, and he sneak attacked Lin Jing. But he was merely an early-stage Mahayana cultivator, and Lin Jing was already on his guard, so the sneak attack was unsuccessful. Although they were both early-stage Mahayana cultivators, Lin Jing's combat power was far superior to his, and the man stood no chance, ultimately being counterkilled by Lin Jing. Ever since then, Lin Jing no longer traveled with cultivators from the same realm. He proceeded alone to Demon Emperor City. Before the Demoness Empress arrived, Demon Emperor City was occupied by a peak-stage Mahayana Heavenly Peng and was known as Heavenly Demon City. But upon the Demoness Empress's arrival, with just one move, she defeated the Heavenly Peng, subjugated him, and he willingly followed the Demoness Empress, becoming her subordinate. This event happened not too long ago, merely a few hundred years prior, and henceforth, Heavenly Demon City was renamed Demon Emperor City. Demon Emperor City allowed both Demon Clan and human cultivators to enter, but a payment of spirit stones was required, and the entrance fee was quite expensive, at least one supreme grade spirit stone. Moreover, no fighting was allowed within Demon Emperor City. Otherwise, one would be directly expelled from Demon Emperor City. In severe cases, there was even the possibility of being killed on the spot. Ever since the Demoness Empress came into power there, with her overseeing the city, no one dared to cause trouble in Demon Emperor City. Lin Jing had come to Demon Emperor City to seek the Demoness Empress. Elder Bai and the patriarch of the Qingling clan had previously come to negotiate with the Demoness Empress about the barriers of Immortal realm. And there was also a token from Elder Bai that ensured nothing would go wrong this time. Lin Jing arrived at Demon Emperor City and flew directly toward the city gate. After paying a supreme grade spirit stone, Lin Jing entered the city of the Demon Emperor. The entire city was enveloped by a formation. The spiritual energy was extremely dense inside. It was actually a huge spirit gathering array. Walking inside, Lin Jing felt as though he was in one of the immortal cities of the Eastern Spirit Realm. The only difference was that there were few people around. Even the number of shops in the city was limited. From the time Lin Jing had entered the Demon Emperor City, he had seen no more than 20 people. Adding the demon cultivators inside the buildings along the streets, there were still fewer than 40 people. Entering the void was difficult, as it required at least the cultivation level of the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Therefore, both human cultivators and demon cultivators in the city possessed very high cultivation levels. The lowest among them was a demon cultivator in the late stages of tribulation. Subsequently, Lin Jing continued walking deeper into the city until he reached the Grand Palace at the heart of Demon Emperor City, called the Demon Emperor Palace. Upon arriving at the Demon Emperor Palace, Lin Jing walked straight up to a demon cultivator and clasped his hands, saying, Fellow from the Demon Clan, I am Lin Jing from the Qingling Realms Elixir Alliance. I would like to request an audience with the Demon Emperor. Please pass on my request. The demon cultivator glanced at Lin Jing, then frowned slightly and said, You wish to request an audience with the Demon Emperor? Does the Demon Emperor grant audiences at your whim? The demon cultivator spoke rudely, but it was indeed a fact. The female Demon Emperor, with her outstanding combat power and renowned reputation, was not someone anyone could simply meet. Lin Jing understood this well and did not dispute it. Instead, he took out the token that Elder Bai had given him and handed it over, continuing, Previously, our Elixir Alliance's Elder Bai had discussed matters with the Demon Emperor. He cannot come now and has sent me to meet the Demon Emperor in his stead. The Mahayana Realm Demon Cultivator listened to Lin Jing's words and inspected the token handed over. Upon seeing the token, the Demon Cultivator paused, then respectfully took the token from Lin Jing and said, Please wait a moment. After speaking, the demon cultivator took the token and walked into the palace hall. After the demon cultivator had gone inside, he soon came back out and approached Lin Jing, saying respectfully, This way, my friend. Saying so, the demon cultivator led the way to the entrance of the Grand Palace. The Demon Emperor Palace was extraordinarily grandiose. The distance from the front of the palace to the entrance was several hundred zhang. Moreover, at the entrance of the Grand Hall, 2 demon cultivators stood guard. Lin Jing was escorted by one of them to the entrance. Then, that demon cultivator handed Lin Jing over to another at the entrance of the Grand Hall, who then led Lin Jing inside. The inside of the grand hall was very spacious. Apart from a middle-aged man in the center, there was no one else. Prior to his arrival, Lin Jing had many speculations about what kind of person the female demon emperor might be and what she might look like. But now, inside the hall, there was only a middle-aged man. When Lin Jing walked in, the man also turned to look. The man had a resolute look and a formidable aura. He looked very dominating and was holding the token that Lin Jing had handed over earlier. If one were to judge by the aura of the man, Lin Jing could easily mistake him for the demon emperor. But he was a man, and the demon emperor was a female. Clearly, he was not the female demon emperor. Soon, the man before Lin Jing spoke. Heavenly Peng, the person has been brought here. The man nodded and then said, "All right, you may go." "Yes," the demon cultivator replied, and then withdrew. From their brief exchange, Lin Jing realized this man was Heavenly Peng, one under the female demon emperor's command. After the demon cultivator had left, Heavenly Peng carefully sized up Lin Jing and then narrowed his eyes slightly, asking, "Was it your Elixir Alliance's elder by who sent you to discuss that matter with the demon emperor?" As he spoke, his imposing aura pressed down on Lin Jing. Facing the pressure of Heavenly Peng's aura, Lin Jing was unfazed and looked at him, nodding, then directly said, "Yes, Heavenly Peng. Due to some unexpected changes, Elder Bai especially asked me to find the demon emperor and relay some information regarding the barriers of the immortal realm." Heavenly Peng had not specified the matter clearly while simultaneously pressing down with his aura, a clear test, to see if he was truly the person arranged by Elder Bai. Consequently, Lin Jing revealed some key information from the last conversation between Elder Bai and the demon emperor, following what Heavenly Peng had said. Upon hearing this, Heavenly Peng's demeanor suddenly became reserved, and he then gave Lin Jing a token, saying, "The demon emperor is not here. Come with me. I'll take you to meet the demon emperor." "Thank you, Peng King." Afterwards, Lin Jing followed Heavenly Peng, passing through the grand hall of the demon emperor palace, toward the back of the palace. Inside the demon emperor palace, there were various palaces and towers, all protected by different formations, their purposes unknown. The two did not enter any of the palaces or towers, but directly passed through these structures to the innermost part of the demon emperor palace. At the innermost part of the palace was a not-so-small garden, which was filled with flowers, trees, mountains, and flowing water, resembling the back mountain of a sect within the realms. In the middle of that garden was a spatial formation, standing there in the void. However, the interior of the spatial formation was obscured by white mist, making it impossible to see anything inside. Upon arriving in the courtyard, Heavenly Peng stopped in front of the spatial formation and cupped his hands towards the inside, saying, "Emperor's Envoy, there's been a change concerning the barriers of the immortal realm. Elder Bai of the Elixir Alliance from Qingling realm has sent someone specifically to convey information about the immortal realm barriers." After Heavenly Peng's voice fell, a voice came from inside. "Let him in." Hearing this voice, Lin Jing was momentarily stunned. Because this voice, he found it somewhat familiar. "Yes," Heavenly Peng responded. After speaking, Heavenly Peng turned to Lin Jing and said, "You go in, the Emperor's envoy will take you to meet the demon emperor." Lin Jing then came to his senses and quickly responded, "Okay, yes." After finishing speaking, Lin Jing approached the spatial formation and then stepped directly into it. When Lin Jing entered the spatial formation, his vision was immediately enveloped by white mist, and just as he moved forward before he could clearly see the surroundings, a surprised and familiar voice rang in his ears. Lin Jing, Brother Lin, how could it be you?" The next moment, the white mist before Lin Jing dispersed, and he could see what was in front of him, especially the surprised and familiar person standing before him. Zhang Yuan. Unexpectedly meeting Zhang Yuan here, Lin Jing was also astonished. "Brother Zhang, how could you be here?" Zhang Yuan then gave a wry smile and said, "If we really start speaking about it, it would be a long story." But at this point, Zhang Yuan waved his hand. Forget about that. Let's not talk about this now. You haven't met Elder Bai and Elder Yu yet, right? The Demon Emperor is currently cultivating. It might take some time before his cultivation is complete. I will now take you to meet Elder Bai and Elder Yu. As Zhang Yuan finished speaking, Lin Jing quickly asked, "Just now I heard the Peng King call you Emperor's envoy, and all three of you are here. Could the Demon Emperor be Qingling?" Zhang Yuan nodded after hearing this. You could say yes or no. In any case, this matter is complicated. Let us wait to meet Elder Bai and Elder Yu, and have them explain it to you. Lin Jing was taken aback, sensing from Zhang Yuan's words that something unexpected had happened. However, now was not the time to ask more. It was better to first meet Elder Bai and Elder Yu, and hear their explanation. Thereafter, Lin Jing nodded, saying, "All right, let's first meet Elder Bai and Elder Yu." Lin Jing followed Zhang Yuan, walking within this space. As he walked, he looked around. Lin Jing discovered that this space actually bore some resemblance to the demon race secret realm. At this time, Zhang Yuan also began to explain, this place is actually also part of the demon race secret realm. The demon race secret realm is essentially a small world, deeply connected to the Emperor. For some unknown reason, this small world shattered, part of it falling into the Nanming domain. Another part has been drifting in this void. After awakening, the Emperor found her memory incomplete, having lost many important memories. That's why she came to this void, to look for remnants of the small world of the demon race secret realm, hoping to find clues to retrieve part of her lost memories. So that's it. No wonder you were here. Lin Jing suddenly realized. Lin Jing had seen Huang Qingling's memories in the illusion realm before, sealed by her father, the Emperor of the Divine Phoenix clan, not wishing her to live in the pain of those past memories. However, Lin Jing hadn't expected that Huang Qingling would be so obsessed with recovering the lost parts of her memory. Then, Zhang Yuan sized up Lin Jing and spoke. "Brother Lin, who would have thought your cultivation progress would be so miraculous, reaching the Mahayana realm in just over 300 years?" Lin Jing looked at Zhang Yuan and replied, "While cultivating, I've encountered many fortuitous events, and my family is also from the Xianqing realm's ancient alchemy family, something I only found out later. Even though my family is no longer around, they still provided me with a great deal of help. It is you, Brother Zhang, who has also reached the Mahayana realm in cultivation and even higher than me." Zhang Yuan shook his head and said, "Elder Bai, Elder Yu, and I are different from you all. In fact, we had already died. Although we retain our memories and emotions, we are actually bound to the Emperor and could be considered a kind of puppet. Our cultivation naturally comes from the Emperor, so without any cultivation, we can still reach very high realms." Upon hearing this, Lin Jing was momentarily stunned. After the momentary pause, Lin Jing hurriedly spoke, asking Zhang Yuan, "Isn't there a way to truly revive you?" Zhang Yuan heard the question, stopped in his tracks, pursed his lips, and frowned as he spoke. "It's possible. Only truly reviving us is not easy. At the very least, the Emperor herself must become an immortal, reaching the true immortal realm or higher. Only when her cultivation reaches above that of a true immortal and she comprehends the innate divine skills of the Divine Phoenix clan can we be truly revived and separate from the Emperor to become real cultivators. The true immortal realm." Lin Jing murmured. If Huang Qingling were to reach the true immortal realm, it seemed not too difficult, simply letting her achieve the void immortal realm, then taking the transcendent celestial golden lotus from the system space, allowing her to cultivate beside it, absorbing its transcendent power, and thus attaining true immortality. Now it seemed that the immortal Tao realm had collapsed, and even if the barriers of the immortal realm were truly broken, entering the immortal Tao realm might not make it possible to cultivate. At present, the only plausible way to cultivate to true immortality seemed to be to use the transcendent, celestial golden lotus. Zhang Yuan, meanwhile, smiled and continued, "In fact, this isn't bad. The Emperor's cultivation might only be at the peak of the Mahayana, but her combat power is unmatched, invincible. There are no dangers for us under the Emperor's command. Lin Jing nodded and said, "Yes, it's good this way." Soon, the two of them arrived at the place where Elder Bai and Elder Yu were. Both were also very pleased to see Lin Jing. They were equally shocked by Lin Jing's current level of cultivation. So, Lin Jing shared his experiences with the two of them. After listening to Lin Jing's experiences, they also couldn't help but sigh with emotion. The first time they met Lin Jing, he was just a junior cultivator at the Qi refinement realm. Yet in just over 300 years, Lin Jing had grown from an energy refinement cultivator to a powerful being at the Mahayana realm. Although only 300 years had passed, Lin Jing's experiences seemed as vast as going through epochs of changes. After finishing his story, Lin Jing then inquired about what had happened to them after their awakening. Through their recount, Lin Jing learned that shortly after he left, they had been awakened. After awakening, Huang Qingling went through a period of recuperation, then took them out of the demon race secret realm and into this void. The subsequent events became clear. Huang Qingling subdued the heavenly Peng and then, within this city of the demon emperor, searched for the fragments of the small world of the demon race secret realm, while also cultivating. After finishing the story, recalling what Zhang Yuan had said, Lin Jing spoke up. "Elder Bai, Elder Yu, well, I just came in and saw Zhang Yuan. I asked him, and for what Zhang Yuan said, the demon emperor is Qingling, but also not Qingling. What does that mean?" Elder Bai and Elder Yu heard the question, glanced at each other, then turned back with a sigh and said, "Alas, in fact, it should be said, Huang Qingling is indeed the demon emperor, but she is no longer the Qingling we knew." Hearing this, Lin Jing couldn't help but think of what he had heard the first time he visited Qingwang Palace. They had been living with Huang Qingling's avatar all along, while Huang Qingling's true self had been in slumber. Now, hearing what they said, it was very likely that in this awakening, it was Huang Qingling's true self that had taken the lead, while the avatar of Huang Qingling had completely disappeared. Lin Jing naturally did not know the specific reason and was about to ask Elder Bai and Elder Yu. But just at that moment, a very strong aura suddenly rose within the space of the entire secret realm. Feeling this aura, Lin Jing quickly looked in the direction from which the aura was coming. Elder Bai and the others also turned their heads to look in the direction of the aura. Elder Bai looked over and said softly, "The Emperor has temporarily finished her cultivation." After speaking, Elder Bai told Lin Jing, "Come, I will take you to see the Emperor now. The Emperor is no longer the Huang Qingling you knew before. When you see her, you must be very careful." Lin Jing nodded upon hearing this and said, "I understand, Elder Bai." As Lin Jing finished speaking, Elder Bai took the lead and walked towards the direction of the aura. Lin Jing followed behind Elder Bai, also heading towards the direction of the aura. The entire secret realm space was not very large, and in no time, the two arrived in front of a massive parasol tree located within the realm. Huang Qingling was sitting cross-legged under the parasol tree. At this moment, Huang Qingling sat there with her eyes tightly shut, an incredibly strong aura emanating from her body. Huang Qingling looked different now. Of course, the previous Huang Qingling was just a split soul of hers. The true Huang Qingling in front of him was her actual self. The real body of Huang Qingling appeared extremely aloof, and within her aura, in addition to the unique presence of the Divine Phoenix clan, there was also the noble aura of a superior, along with her terrifying cultivation. At this time, Huang Qingling was completely a superior empress of the demon clan. Upon reaching Huang Qingling, Elder Bai bowed and said to her, "Emperor, an old friend has come to see you, claiming to have matters regarding the barriers of the immortal realm to discuss." An old friend? After Elder Bai finished speaking, Huang Qingling slowly opened her eyes. The Huang Qingling who opened her eyes looked directly at Lin Jing, who was following behind Elder Bai. "It's you, Lin Jing. What brings you to me?" As Elder Bai had mentioned, Huang Qingling indeed recognized Lin Jing, but now, that was all there was to it. Her gaze, including the words she had just spoken, contained not a hint of emotion, as if everything she had experienced with Lin Jing before had never happened. Although he expected this, Lin Jing still felt somewhat distressed. However, Lin Jing did not show it, burying his emotions inside. He bowed to Huang Qingling just like a common cultivator meeting the Demon Emperor would, and said, reporting to the Demon Emperor, Elder Bai encountered some difficulties while searching for Immortal Yuan and is now trapped in the land of immortal remnants. I came here under Elder Bai's orders to seek the Demon Emperor's assistance. After bringing Lin Jing over, Elder Bai had already quietly stepped back. After Elder Bai left, only Lin Jing and Huang Qingling remained. Huang Qingling frowned slightly after hearing this and asked, trapped in the land of immortal remnants? Who did it? Cultivators from the Yuan and Yuan realms, Lin Jing replied. After that, Lin Jing added, after entering the land of immortal remnants, Elder Bai and the ancestor of the Yuan clan found a trace of immortal Yuan, but while they were discovering it, they were seen by cultivators from both the Yuan and Yuan realms. Then, cultivators from those two realms gathered a significant number of Mayana cultivators to seal the entire land of immortal remnants, vowing to find Elder Bai and the ancestor of the Yuan clan and take away the immortal Yuan. Hearing Lin Jing talk about Elder Bai and the ancestor of the Yuan clan finding a trace of immortal Yuan, Huang Qingling raised her eyebrows, showing an interested expression. However, as Lin Jing mentioned that the cultivators from Yuan and Yuan had sealed the land of immortal remnants, Huang Qingling's brows furrowed again. At the same time, an extremely terrifying aura burst forth from her body. Yuan, Yuan realms. They're courting death. Lin Jing continued to speak at this moment. Now in this outer spatial void, the Qingling realm is weak. Even if you bring in cultivators from the Qingling realm, they're not a match for those from Yuan or Yuan. To rescue them both, only you taking action can accomplish this. After Lin Jing's words fell, Huang Qingling waited for a moment before she spoke. You're right. If it were normal circumstances, I certainly wouldn't take them seriously. Speaking of this, Huang Qingling raised her eyes and looked at Lin Jing. Since you're an old friend of mine, you must also be clear about my situation. Although I have awakened, I am severely injured and can't act rashly. I've acted twice since arriving in this outer spatial void. One action was to subdue the heavenly Peng, and another was to dominate a fierce battle, spreading my reputation far and wide. Since then, even if I don't take action, others still respect and fear me. Lin Jing was startled upon hearing this. It turned out that Huang Qingling had only taken action twice since arriving in this outer spatial void. Lin Jing hadn't asked too much before, and he thought the reputation of Huang Qingling as the Demon Emperor had been established through numerous battles. Since you've come from Elder Bai, you must know that Elder Bai asked me to take action, giving me a stream of immortal Yuan. With this stream of immortal Yuan, I can act one more time. After that, if I forcibly act again, my injuries will recur, and I will fall back into slumber. If I fall asleep again, who knows how long it will be before I can awaken once more. If I take action this time, then the promise I made to Elder Bai to act during the Immortal Realm Barrier conflict, I'm afraid I won't be able to keep. Moreover, even if I act this time, just one action, it's likely not enough to deter them, and you must also understand the temptation of immortal Yuan for them. After hearing this, Lin Jing fell into silence. Originally, in the illusion realm, although Huang Qingling had fallen into slumber, it was only her father's doing and wasn't a true deep sleep, nor was she injured. Huang Qingling's injuries must have been caused by that attack from the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate, and that primordial immortal Emperor was indeed terrifying. Just an aftershock of his attack could cause Huang Qingling such severe injuries. After the silence, Lin Jing directly asked, "How can your injuries be healed?" Hearing this, Huang Qingling's lips curled up, revealing a slight smile, and she looked at Lin Jing with an expression full of interest. "What? Do you want to help me heal my injuries?" Lin Jing nodded without the slightest hesitation and replied, "Yes, Huang Qingling then burst into a joyful smile, a smile that was incredibly heartwarming, and with her world-shocking beauty and the unparalleled demeanor of a demon emperor, she was breathtakingly stunning. After smiling, Huang Qingling spoke directly. To heal my injuries, it's actually quite simple. Just 3 streams of Immortal Yuan are needed. I already have 1 stream of Immortal Yuan, meaning that 2 more are needed for my injuries to recover completely, so I can act without worries in the future. Although Elder Bai and the others have found 1 stream of Immortal Yuan, it's not enough, and their Immortal Yuan is also reserved for crafting the Ascension Pill. If they give the Immortal Yuan to me, then without the Ascension Pill, they can't advance to the Void Immortal Realm, nor can they open the Immortal Realm barrier. After saying this, Huang Qingling's eyes were brimming with smiles as she looked at Lin Jing. Are you sure you want to help me find 2 more streams of Immortal Yuan? But as soon as Huang Qingling's voice fell, Lin Jing directly spoke. I have Immortal Yuan. After speaking, Lin Jing's thoughts moved, and a stream of Immortal Yuan appeared from his body, then rested in his hand. Seeing this stream of Immortal Yuan, even Huang Qingling felt somewhat incredulous at this moment, pausing in astonishment. Lin Jing, after revealing the Immortal Yuan, directly spoke to Huang Qingling. I have a stream of Immortal Yuan. Before I left the land of Immortal Remnants, I also worked together with Elder Bai and the elder ancestor of the Changyun clan to seize another stream of Immortal Yuan from the cultivators of the Changyun realm. That is to say, now Elder Bai and the 2 of them have 2 streams of Immortal Yuan, adding up to exactly 3 streams of Immortal Yuan, and even the Immortal Yuan for crafting the Ascension Pill is sufficient. Lin Jing had 2 strands of Immortal Yuan in his possession. One was ordinary Immortal Yuan, captured from meteorite. The other was special Immortal Yuan. The special Immortal Yuan sought Lin Jing out on its own during his tribulation. Naturally, Lin Jing presented the ordinary Immortal Yuan. The special Immortal Yuan was likely related to the 3 world seeds. Lin Jing certainly wouldn't present it. Huang Qingling had by then come to her senses. After coming to, Huang Qingling looked at Lin Jing and, with a smile, began to speak. Lin Jing, you, an old friend, are somewhat inscrutable to me. I find that whether it was in the past when my spirit division encountered you, or even now, you always manage to surprise. Setting other matters aside, let's look at your cultivation. In just over 300 years, you've leaped from a foundation establishment cultivator to the early stages of Mahayana. Such rapid progress in cultivation is probably unprecedented within the realms of Xianqing, Cangyun, and Jilin. But you've done it. Speaking thus, Huang Qingling looked straight at Lin Jing for quite a while, as if trying to see through him. Perhaps it was fate that my spirit division encountered you. After saying these words, Huang Qingling reached out, and the Immortal Yuan in Lin Jing's hand flew straight over to her. Then, Huang Qingling spoke again to Lin Jing. I've taken the Immortal Yuan. Give me half a month. Once I've refined this Immortal Yuan, I will accompany you to the land of Immortal Remnants and bring the 2 of them out. Lin Jing nodded upon hearing this and said, Thank you. Huang Qingling replied, There's no need. If anything, I should be thanking you. If you hadn't brought this news, I don't know how long it would have taken to recover from my injuries. Well then, you go and catch up with those 3 first. Once I've finished refining this Immortal Yuan, we can set out. However, Lin Jing still showed no intention of leaving long after Huang Qingling had finished speaking. Huang Qingling couldn't help but look at Lin Jing and ask, What's wrong? Do you have something else? Lin Jing looked at Huang Qingling, who possessed a demeanor and beauty that could be considered supreme, hesitated for a moment, then asked, Now that you've awakened, I don't know where your spirit division has gone. Huang Qingling looked at Lin Jing and said, So you wish to find her? It's no secret. She's no longer here. Lin Jing was taken aback upon hearing this. Huang Qingling continued, When you were teleported away, you encountered a crisis mid-journey. She exhausted all her strength to protect you from being devoured by the spatial tunnel, ensuring you could land safely. But afterwards, she completely dissipated due to the exhaustion of all her power. Lin Jing stood there, dumbfounded upon hearing this. He had thought that once Huang Qingling's true self awakened, her spirit division would merge back into her. It turned out that during the transmission to help him leave, she had completely dissipated in order to save him. So it turns out, it was like this. Lin Jing murmured to himself. At this moment, Lin Jing felt an immense sense of loss. Although the true Huang Qingling was in front of him, it was the spirit division that had lived with Lin Jing for a time, shared in the small moments of life, and possessed genuine feelings that was the true Huang Qingling he knew. When Lin Jing learned that the spirit division of Huang Qingling had fully dissipated for his sake, it was as if a real person who had lived with him for a long time had fallen. How could such a feeling not distress Lin Jing? Lin Jing left. As he departed, his gaze was vacant, and even his steps were faltering. Watching Lin Jing leave in despair, Huang Qingling, seated beneath a tree, couldn't help feeling a strange sense of discomfort in her heart. She furrowed her brows and whispered to herself, "Why? I am me. The spirit division is also me. I have all the memories of the spirit division. Why would he still feel this way? Is it because of emotions?" Half a month later, Huang Qingling had completely refined the immortal Yuan, and with it, her injuries had improved significantly. This time, she could intervene multiple times without as many concerns. After refining the immortal Yuan, Huang Qingling sorted out all the affairs of the Demon Emperor city and then set off with Lin Jing toward the land of immortal remnants. It took Lin Jing and Huang Qingling 2 months to fly from the Demon Emperor city to the entrance of the land of immortal remnants, which was considerably less time than it took Lin Jing to go to the Demon Emperor city. Still, it was with Huang Qingling's help that Lin Jing could travel so swiftly. Otherwise, at Lin Jing's own speed, it would probably take the same half a year to reach the entrance of the land of immortal remnants as when he came. Of course, without Lin Jing slowing her down, Huang Qingling could have reached the entrance of the land of immortal remnants in less than a month with her speed. Huang Qingling's strength was truly terrifying, not at all like what one would expect of a Mahayana cultivator. On the way there, Lin Jing had asked Huang Qingling about her true cultivation level. For some reason, Huang Qingling trusted Lin Jing remarkably and willingly revealed her cultivation level to him. It turns out Huang Qingling's cultivation had reached the void immortal realm long ago, and only her injuries had made her appear to be at the peak of Mahayana. Arriving at the entrance to the land of immortal remnants, Huang Qingling, with Lin Jing in tow, headed straight inside. But as soon as they approached the entrance, before they could get close, a Mahayana mid-phase cultivator guarding the entrance stepped forward and stopped them. "Without a token, you may not enter the land of immortal remnants, especially you cultivators from the Xianqing realm. You actually dare to approach the land of immortal remnants. Scram immediately, or don't blame us for being inhospitable." However, just as the words left his mouth, Huang Qingling merely glanced over with a flash of light in her eyes, and a streak of red light suddenly appeared. Before the Mahayana mid-phase cultivator could react, the red light had already charged forth and struck him. Afterwards, that Mahayana mid-phase cultivator was hit as if by a heavy blow, instantly spewing blood as he staggered back, and the aura around his entire body instantly waned. With just one glance, Huang Qingling had severely injured a Mahayana mid-phase cultivator, which was telling of her power. Seeing this, the others guarding the entrance quickly leaped over to stand by the injured cultivator's side, while looking towards Lin Jing and Huang Qingling with angry faces. But at this moment, a Mahayana peak elder hurriedly flew over, calling out as he approached, "Lady Demon Emperor, please show mercy. My disciple has just come out from within the realm and did not recognize your excellency's divine might. I beg you to spare his life." Hearing the elder refer to Lady Demon Emperor, the injured cultivator and several others around him immediately turned as pale as death, especially the cultivator who had stopped Lin Jing and Huang Qingling. his body shaking like chaff. The Demon Emperor. How could he possibly not have heard of her? Not to mention those from outside the realm. Even within the realm, it was known that in the outer realm, there was an extremely fearsome empress from the demon clan who single-handedly suppressed dozens of Mahayana cultivators. Even when coming to this outer realm, the elders from the sect had specifically cautioned not to provoke this terrifyingly powerful demon clan empress. He had thought that this demon clan empress resided in the demon emperor city and would never encounter her. Yet unexpectedly, she had come to the land of immortal remnants. Most crucially, he had just provoked this empress. Provoking the demon clan empress, if she truly wished to kill him, even his own sect could not save him. In such a situation, how could he not be terrified? After the elder's arrival, he hurriedly said with a smile, "I hope the Lady Demon Emperor will show mercy and spare the life of this junior. I shall not hold the younger generation accountable, and thank your excellency in advance." After severely injuring that Mahayana mid-phase cultivator with just one glance, Huang Qingling did not bother with him any further, but turned to look at the elder. "What now? Do you still intend to prevent me from entering the land of immortal remnants?" Hearing this, the Mahayana peak elder hurriedly replied with a smile. Dare not, dare not. Lady Demon Emperor gracing us with your presence. How can we dare to stop you? Lady Demon Emperor is free to enter the land of immortal remnants anytime. We naturally will not obstruct you." After saying this, he signaled the other cultivators with a glance. Those cultivators, originally guarding the entrance, also understood immediately, promptly moving away a good distance from the entrance to prove they had no intention of obstructing her. Only after those people had moved away did the elder speak to Huang Qingling. "Lady Demon Emperor, please enter. Rest assured, my disciple has been rash and provoked your excellency. I will certainly reprimand him sternly later on." Seeing this, Huang Qingling did not contend further, but said to Lin Jing, "Let's go." With that, Huang Qingling led Lin Jing into the land of immortal remnants. At this time, within the land of immortal remnants, Elder Bai and the elder of the Changyun clan were desperately fleeing. The location they had been using to hide had long been exposed, discovered by the people from the Changyun and Jilin realms. Normally, given their abilities, even if their location was revealed, it should not have been so quickly. But just after Lin Jing left, the sect master of the Luiyue Dao sect from the Changyun realm of the Shi Tsang continent arrived at the land of immortal remnants. This sect master from the Luiyue Dao sect was different from others. The pupil skill he cultivated was passed down from the ancient era. It seemed to have some connection with the immortal realm. The pupil skill he practiced was incredibly consuming to use, and it also depleted his lifespan, although perhaps not by much. But a cultivator's lifespan is extremely important, and even though he was a Mahayana cultivator with a lifespan of 20,000 years, he could not easily employ it. Such a massively consuming pupil skill naturally had effects beyond ordinary ones. With this pupil skill, he could see through all hiding formations and camouflages, even those ancient techniques of concealment passed down by ancient families. Under this pupil skill, there would be nowhere to hide. Because it was so draining to use, the Luiyue Dao sect master seldom exercised this pupil skill. But this time, when he arrived at the land of immortal remnants, he discovered that his junior brother, Chu Yuan Hai, had been killed, and the immortal Yuan had also been taken. The sect master of the Luiyue Dao sect was immediately enraged. Though not born of the same parents, he and his junior brother had both entered the sect together as children, growing up together until now. Although not each other's biological brothers, they were closer than if they had been. Later on, the sect master from the Luiyue Dao sect, through the residual battle chi left behind, identified that the one who killed his junior brother was none other than the two individuals from the Xianqing realm that they had been trying to capture. Therefore, the sect master of the Luiyue Dao sect straightforwardly cast aside his concerns, sacrificed his lifespan, and used the pupil skill to locate Elder Bai and the elder of the Changyun clan. Although Elder Bai and the elder of the Changyun clan tried their best to evade, it was to no avail, as the land of immortal remnants was filled with people from the other two realms. Ultimately, their traces were still discovered not long ago. After their traces were discovered, the two of them started to fight against the people from the Qingling while retreating. At the same time, they tried to shake off the pursuers from those two realms, but those people from Qingling relentlessly chased them until now. And each battle involved at least 3 Mahayana peak cultivators from the opposing side, making it difficult for them to gain any advantage. The two were constantly pursued by people from the two realms, depleting their spiritual power. Such frequent battles naturally led to huge consumption, and they also had no time to stop and recover the depleted spiritual power. Before long, their spiritual power was nearly exhausted, and they estimated it would soon be completely depleted. After fighting for a while, the two of them found an opportunity and escaped. However, the injuries on their bodies and the trauma to their soul spirits were already too severe to continue escaping. Afterward, the two of them stopped. Elder Bai, upon stopping, summoned the little spiritual power he had left to heal their injuries while struggling to speak. "Old Huang, it seems at this time we are really going to fall." Beside him, the elder from Qingling clan, who seemed to be slightly better off, cracked a smile and said, "To die is to die. It's just a pity, in the end, we didn't fulfill old Lin's wish, couldn't concoct the ascension pill, and visit the immortal realm." Elder Bai, upon hearing this, turned his head to look at the open and impulsive elder from the Qingling clan, and couldn't help but smile. "You, being an elder of the Qingling clan, you are still so impetuous and unrestrained. I suddenly remember Lin Kid. If it wasn't for him helping you concoct that flawless longevity life extension elixir, wouldn't you have truly gone to fight Yiming to the death?" The elder from the Qingling clan then laughed. "Of course. You know, I always do what I say. But, fortunately, we had Lin Kid, so that we could still fight side by side up to now." Just as the elder from the Qingling clan finished speaking, a voice came through. "You are right. This is your last time fighting side by side, because next, I want you to pay with your lives for my junior." As this voice came, several figures quickly arrived, confronting Elder Bai and the elder from the Qingling clan. There were 6 people who arrived, all of whom were Mahayana peak cultivators. Especially the Taoist dress cultivator in the middle, his expression cold and his gaze icy. He stared at Elder Bai and the elder from the Qingling clan. This was the sect master of the Luiyue sect, who once had a brief encounter with Lin Jing at the entrance to the land of immortal remnants. It was also because of him that Elder Bai and the elder from the Qingling clan were in such a dire state now. After finishing speaking, the sect master of the Luiyue sect turned to the other cultivators and said, "Fellow Taoists, as we agreed earlier, one stream of immortal Yuan goes to you, and another stream of immortal Yuan, which was originally ours from Luiyue sect, naturally belongs to us. Of course, I won't take this immortal Yuan for nothing. I will give you fellows some benefits, as I promised before. Besides, soon, I will use some extreme measures on these two, until their souls disperse. I assume you fellows have no objections?" One by one, the people voiced out, "Of course not." Taoistly is joking. "Of course, we have no objections. As long as the benefits Taoistly discuss with us are in place, the rest is none of my concern." Just as the group was reaching an agreement, a terrifying pressure suddenly filled the space, making it hard to breathe. Along with this pressure, a cold voice devoid of any emotion also transmitted. "Ow! You want to seize my immortal Yuan, without even asking my opinion?" As the sound arrived, the complexions of several people changed dramatically, especially the sect master of Luiyue sect, whose face looked extremely ugly compared to the others. The nearly obtained immortal Yuan had turned ephemeral due to that voice. If others were unaware of the meaning of that sound, they would certainly not forget it, because they had all participated in that grand melee at the beginning and had witnessed the majesty of the owner of that voice with their own eyes. On the contrary, Elder Bai and the elder from the Qingling clan relaxed upon hearing this sound, exchanged a smile, and instantly eased up. "That lad is really timely. If he were any later, these fellows would have torn us old bones apart. After relaxing, the elder from the Qingling clan immediately turned and started chatting with Elder Bai. Indeed, the lad was indeed timely. A smile inevitably appeared on Elder Bai's face. At this moment, the 6 people from Sangyun and Qingling were furrowing their brows, looking towards the direction from where the sound had come. Quickly, the figure they least wanted to see, the fearsome demon empress of the demon clan, still appeared in their sight, followed by a young cultivator unknown to them. The arrival of Huang Qingling made them gather together, all on their guard. However, Huang Qingling completely disregarded their clustering behavior. What defines an immortal? What defines a mortal? How could these mortals understand the gap between immortals and mortals? Even someone like Huang Qingling, despite being a wounded void immortal, was beyond their comprehension. The 6 of them, even if they attacked all at once, were no match for Huang Qingling. Therefore, she naturally disdained their grouping. Huang Qingling ignored them all and spoke directly to Elder Bai. I have already discussed with Lin Jing. Give me an immortal Yuan, and I will lead you out. Lin Jing nodded repeatedly. Elder Bai understood immediately and took out an immortal Yuan, handing it over to Huang Qingling. Huang Qingling beckoned, and the immortal Yuan flew directly into her hand. Then, Huang Qingling, in front of everyone, stowed the immortal Yuan away. Having put away the immortal Yuan, Huang Qingling then spoke to Elder Bai and the Qingling elder. What are you still doing here? Follow me. The 2 nodded and immediately followed her. Originally, when Huang Qingling stowed away the immortal Yuan, they said nothing and dared not say anything. But now that the 2 elders were leaving, even if they were fearful of Huang Qingling, they had to speak up. One of the 6 hurriedly spoke as the 2 elders were leaving. Demon Emperor, you can have the immortal Yuan. We won't compete with you for it. You want to protect these 2, that's fine too. We won't stop you. But they have another immortal Yuan on them, obtained by the Sangyun realm's cultivators. They can go, but that immortal Yuan must be left behind. After this person finished speaking, the others also echoed. Exactly, they can go, but that immortal Yuan must be left behind. The sect master of Luiyue Dao sect, seeing the situation, couldn't help but close his eyes, silently grieving for his fellow disciple. That grudge, it seemed, he wouldn't be able to avenge anytime soon. Moments later, the sect master of Luiyue Dao sect opened his eyes and also looked at Huang Qingling, saying, Demon Emperor, those 2 killed my fellow disciple and snatched his immortal Yuan from him. Since, Demon Emperor, you want to protect these 2, I won't pursue my disciple's matter for now, but that immortal Yuan they carry, which belonged to my disciple, must be returned. Despite their protests, Huang Qingling remained unmoved, instead furrowing her brows, urging the hesitant Elder Bai and the Qingling elder to hurry up. What are you 2 waiting for? What else do you plan to do here? Hearing this, they no longer hesitated and quickly joined Huang Qingling. Huang Qingling's dismissive attitude infuriated the group. Even though they were afraid before, the repeated dismissiveness of Huang Qingling angered them. Among them, the black-robed elder who had appeared when Lin Jing left the land of immortal remnants spoke with fury. Demon Emperor, what do you mean by this? Showing such disdain and not considering us at all. Huang Qingling turned to look at them and then coldly smirked. You lot, I really don't take seriously. The black-robed elder was choked by Huang Qingling's words, becoming so angry he was momentarily at a loss for words. You. After quite a while, he regained his composure and continued. Demon Emperor, don't push us too far. Among our 2 realms, there are many cultivators with numerous strategies. I refuse to believe that combining our 2 realms' forces, we cannot kill a single demon emperor. Huang Qingling turned to face the man as her cultivation surged, causing the group to break out in a cold sweat. If you truly have the courage, then come. I will be in the city of the Demon Emperor waiting for you. I am curious to see whether you cultivators of the Sangyun and Qingling realms are numerous. Or if I kill more. After speaking, Huang Qingling no longer paid any attention to them and turned away, leaving. Seeing this, Lin Jing and his companions also followed Huang Qingling, leaving the area. The others could finally breathe a sigh of relief only after they had completely departed. Until then, these people began to reproach the robed elder. Daoist friend, you were too reckless. If you truly angered the demon emperor, she would need hardly any effort to kill us. Have you forgotten the great chaos last time? She struck only once and suppressed all of us. We can't even begin to fathom her terrifying cultivation. After these words fell, another cultivator quickly spoke. If we truly anger the demon emperor, let it be known, Qingling realm will disassociate from Songyun realm immediately. Don't blame us. The sect master of Liyue Dao sect also shook his head and then spoke. Daoist Mo, you indeed acted recklessly. If the demon emperor were to make a move, none from Songyun realm in this foreign realm could escape. After realizing his mistake, the robed elder was also filled with fear and hastily apologized to the others. I'm very sorry. I really lost control of myself, acted too impulsively. I hope you Daoist friends can forgive me. The sect master of Liyue Dao sect then comforted him. It's all right. Understanding this is good. After all, there is still immortal Yuan in the land of immortal remnants. We can just search for it again if needed. Right? After finishing, the robed elder looked towards the direction Huang Qingling had left, slightly puzzled, and asked, what exactly is the cultivation of that demon emperor? She appears to only have the peak Mahayana cultivation, but her combat power is terrifyingly abnormal. The others also looked in that direction and said, perhaps she has already surpassed the peak of Mahayana. It's just that we cannot see through her true cultivation. Having surpassed the peak of Mahayana, that would be immortal. After escorting Elder Bai and the elder of the Changyun clan out of the land of immortal remnants, the group left the place. During this period, encountering other people from the Changyun and Qingling realms, no one dared to interfere. The group left smoothly. After leaving for a considerable distance, Huang Qingling opened her mouth again, asking Elder Bai, how goes the collection of materials for the Ascension Pill? When you plan to break the barrier to the immortal realm? Upon hearing this, Elder Bai responded, with this immortal Yuan, the materials for the Ascension Pill are now ready. Alchemy can begin soon. Once the Ascension Pill is made, I will consume it to advance to the void immortal realm, then prepare and try to open the barrier to the immortal realm. This time won't be too distant. Huang Qingling nodded and then directly said, if that's the case, you all stay in my Demon Emperor city during this period. Elsewhere, they might seek revenge or try to steal the immortal Yuan, but in Demon Emperor city, they dare not come. As Huang Qingling spoke these words, she was very confident, seemingly certain they wouldn't dare to come. But it's true. If they really had dared to make a move, they would have done so back in the land of immortal remnants, rather than waiting until now. Since they didn't dare to act under such pressing circumstances, they must be very fearful of Huang Qingling, and even less likely to act in the future. It's hard to know what kind of power Huang Qingling showcased during that great chaos to instill such fear. Thank you, Demon Emperor. Upon hearing this, Elder Bai and the elder of the Changyun clan also quickly expressed their gratitude. The group then returned to Demon Emperor City. Elder Bai also promptly began gathering those allies who had previously collaborated with him. These people and their behind-the-scenes forces all had good ties with the Elixir Alliance and were mainly the providers of most materials needed for the Ascension Pill this time. When these people arrived at Demon Emperor City and saw Elder Bai and his companion, they too expressed their apologies regarding the incident of being trapped in the land of immortal remnants. Elder Bai, however, did not mind and even comforted them. After all, the people who acted against them from both the Changyun and Qingling realms were too many. Even if all the top cultivators of the entire Eastern Spirit realm were mobilized, they wouldn't stand a chance against those two realms. It was even possible that all the top cultivators of the Eastern Spirit realm could be entirely wiped out in one swoop. That's why, When considering whom to seek help from, they didn't think of them, but instead had Lin Jing seek out Huang Qingling directly. Only Huang Qingling could save them under those circumstances. And indeed, the two were rescued by Huang Qingling. After gathering the allied members, the materials for the Ascension Pill were also ready. Then, Elder Bai and the elder of the Qingling clan, to avoid any slip-ups that could lead to alchemy failure, began their final study of the elixir recipe for the Ascension Pill. This time, they even included Lin Jing. Lin Jing, now a 9th-grade alchemist, naturally could participate. Thus, a year passed. A year later, a void not far from Demon Emperor City was struck by tribulation lightning. This tribulation lightning was terrifying. Although it could not match the furor of Lin Jing's previous tribulation, it was nearly as intense. Furthermore, this tribulation lightning was different from the usual one faced by cultivators. It wasn't just 9 strikes, but countless continuous strikes, lasting for a significant period. Even the duration of the tribulation lightning was much longer than usual for cultivators. Though protracted, the tribulation lightning ceased after nearly half a day. When the tribulation lightning ceased, under it, an extremely dazzling display of multicolored lights suddenly burst forth. It was as if an immortal treasure had appeared, drawing all the cultivators who had rushed there upon seeing the tribulation lightning. However, these cultivators who rushed halted immediately upon seeing the figure that terrified them, not daring to advance any further. Then, only a few days had passed when astonishing news spread rapidly. Someone in the Qingling realm had refined elixir medicine of the immortal class. Consuming it allowed them to become an immortal on the spot, becoming the sole void immortal realm powerhouse among the 3 major cultivation worlds. After this news was released, the entire outer spatial void was in an uproar, everyone eagerly inquiring about who had refined such a heaven-defying elixir medicine. Moreover, what kind of elixir medicine was it exactly that it could allow one to become an immortal instantly? Upon hearing this, cultivators from Qingling realm were shocked but also thrilled. Being in the outer spatial void, Qingling realm had always been weaker and was often suppressed by people from the other 2 realms. Now that a void immortal realm powerhouse had appeared, wouldn't that mean no one would dare to oppress them arbitrarily in the future? Meanwhile, cultivators from Zhang and Yuan became quite panicked after hearing the news, fearing what the immortal in the void immortal realm might do to them. However, their worries seemed completely unnecessary. After the news had been out for quite a while, the void immortal realm cultivator did not make any public appearances, nor did they make any unconventional moves. Shortly thereafter, several of the most prestigious Mahayana peak cultivators from Zhang and Yuan jointly announced a message. From now on, cultivators from the 3 realms were forbidden from slaughtering each other. They were to conserve energy and prepare, as the immortal from Qingling realm planned to open the barriers to the immortal realm and lead everyone inside. Meanwhile, the land of immortal remnants was no longer sealed off, now open to all, including those from Qingling realm. The news shocked everyone even more, followed by boundless joy. The immortal realm had been sealed for 1,000,000 years, and being unable to ascend had weighed heavily on everyone's minds, becoming their greatest affliction. If they were able to ascend to the immortal realm, it would be a great boon for all cultivators of the 3 major cultivation worlds. With this news, the immortal from Qingling realm undoubtedly became immensely revered and profoundly appreciated by all cultivators, especially the cultivators from Zhang and Yuan, who even improved their attitudes toward the other cultivators of Qingling realm considerably. While a celebratory atmosphere permeated the outside world and everywhere buzzed with harmony, inside Demon Emperor City, things appeared not to have changed significantly. In one of the courtyards within Demon Emperor City, Lin Jing sat opposite to the elder ancestor of the Qingling clan, engaged in conversation. Originally discussing matters pertaining to the Lin family, the elder ancestor of the Qingling clan suddenly spoke to Lin Jing. "Lin lad, Old Bai has already secluded himself to stabilize his cultivation to prepare for the final efforts to open the barriers to the immortal realm. The Demon Emperor has also secluded himself, stating he needed to prepare. This seclusion of theirs, I estimate, will last several years. With nothing pressing during this period, what do you plan to do? Hearing this, Lin Jing replied, now that the land of immortal remnants is unrestricted, many people have already rushed over there to search for immortal Yuan. I also plan to go into the land of immortal remnants to see if I can find a thread of immortal Yuan. 7 strands of immortal Yuan had already appeared in the land of immortal remnants, but currently 2 strands are still hidden within, undiscovered. Now that the land of immortal remnants is unrestricted and open to all, it's likely that such circumstances will not allow these 2 strands of immortal Yuan to remain hidden for long. They're expected to be found soon. Now possessing a special immortal Yuan, Lin Jing could more easily find immortal Yuan than others. With such uniquely favorable conditions, he naturally couldn't pass up the opportunity. Naturally, he also aimed to secure the remaining 2 strands of immortal Yuan first. The elder ancestor of the Qingling clan nodded and said, I see. That's good. I'll accompany you then. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had already passed. Elder Bai had completely stabilized his cultivation and emerged from isolation. After absorbing 3 streams of immortal Yuan, Huang Qingling had also fully recovered from her injuries, her cultivation reaching its peak and even surpassing Elder Bai by quite a bit, no longer having any concerns. Naturally, during these 10 years, Lin Jing also unsurprisingly collected the remaining 2 streams of immortal Yuan. All 9 streams of immortal Yuan in the land of immortal remnants were thus taken away, leaving not a single one behind. However, the others did not know about this. At this moment, many were still tirelessly searching for immortal Yuan within the land of immortal remnants. As for Lin Jing, of course, he would not interfere, nor would he reveal the fact that there were no immortal Yuan left. After all, sometimes leaving others with a sliver of hope was also a good thing. In these 10 years, apart from collecting immortal Yuan, Lin Jing occasionally used the system's functionality to track the whereabouts of the divine tree of Tao principle. After this period of relentless investigation, Lin Jing discovered that the divine tree of Tao principle did indeed seem to be in the immortal Tao realm, and its location was unstable, constantly wandering in the void. Beyond observing the divine tree of Tao principle, Lin Jing also took the opportunity to survey the landscapes within the immortal Tao realm. The immortal Tao realm was filled with ruins everywhere. Not even a single intact place remained. Over the years, Lin Jing had observed dozens of times, following the ever-shifting location of the divine tree of Tao principle, surveying many places. Yet he saw no signs of any living creatures. Everywhere, there were only ruins left behind after the great battle. And in these numerous observations, Lin Jing also found that there was no danger lurking within the immortal Tao realm. It seemed that after the great battle, all had returned to silence. All living beings had vanished just like that. Even traces of the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate and the 5 Elements ancestor were not found by Lin Jing. But, as long as there was no danger, it was good. If there was no danger, then Elder Bai and the others could break through the barrier of the immortal realm and successfully enter the immortal Tao realm to see the situation for themselves. The spatial river, located in the depths of the void beyond the junction of 3 cultivation worlds. Since the ancient era, there were rumors that the source of the spatial river led to the immortal Tao realm, and by breaking the spatial barrier at the end of the spatial river, one could reach inside the immortal Tao realm. However, the spatial river itself was dangerous, especially the void where its source was located, with constant spatial rifts and spatial whirlpools frequently appearing. Moreover, besides spatial rifts, not even meteorites were commonly seen in that place, and no resources would appear, so no one would ever go there. The location chosen by Elder Bai to break the immortal realm barrier was precisely at the end of the spatial river. After making preparations, Elder Bai and Huang Qingling led Lin Jing and their group on their journey. In addition to Lin Jing, the Qingling clan's patriarch Elder Lei, and several allies of Elderbai from the Eastern Spirit Realm also went together. And Elderbai did not hide his intention to break through the barrier of the immortal realm. And now he traveled openly and magnanimously towards the direction of the spatial river. Their march was naturally seen by the cultivators of the Zhang realm and the Qingling realm. Consequently, those cultivators also organized themselves to follow Elderbai and the rest toward the direction of the spatial river. Even the sect master of the Luiyue Dao sect, as well as other individuals they had encountered in the land of immortal remnants, followed the crowd and flew towards the spatial river. This was a significant event for entering the immortal realm. These people had been stuck at the peak of Mahayana for countless years, and who among them did not wish to break through and become an immortal? Now that Elderbai, a void immortal of the void immortal realm, was leading the charge to break through the immortal realm barrier, they naturally could not miss this opportunity. Seeing the sect master of the Luiyue Dao sect, Lin Jing could not help but take a few more glances. At this moment, the sect master of Luiyue Dao sect seemed to have moved past the demise of his junior brother. His eyes no longer held hatred, but rather anticipation for the immortal realm, desire. And not just him, the other Mahayana peak cultivators also felt the same. Thus, the cultivators of all three worlds appeared unified for the first time, marching grandly towards the spatial river. The spatial river was in the depths of the void, far from the nearby vacuum of the three worlds, and naturally, it would take considerable time to reach it. It took them more than 3 years to finally arrive at the end of the spatial river. There, the group rested a while, and Elderbai and Huang Qingling began to explore nearby and started their preparations. Several days later, after the preparations were complete and they had chosen the location where they would break the barrier, they were ready to begin. By this time, most of the cultivators from the three worlds had already arrived, everyone watching from a distance, eager to witness the moment of breaking through the barrier to the immortal realm. Although Lin Jing had already seen the situation inside the immortal Dao realm, he was equally full of anticipation, wanting to enter and see it for himself. Once the preparations were completed, Elderbai directly gathered a 9-colored light, covering that entire expanse of void. This 9-colored light was comprised of immortal power, an existence far surpassing spiritual power. After the 9-colored light covered the entire space, Elderbai did not stop, but continued to gather the 9-colored light, charging towards the void up ahead. Before long, the void began to change, slowly peeling open bit by bit, revealing an interior resembling a crystal barrier of light. This barrier of light, appearing here, blocked all of Elderbai's 9-colored spiritual power. People became excited upon sighting the light barrier, for it indicated that their endeavor was already halfway to success. Just then, Huang Qingling made a move. With a single step, Huang Qingling appeared before the light barrier. Following that, an aura, utterly terrifying and even stronger than the one surrounding Elderbai, emanated from Huang Qingling's body. The emergence of this aura made everyone's heart skip a beat. At that moment, Lin Jing suddenly understood why the people in the land of immortal remnants had been so afraid of Huang Qingling. Faced with such a horrifying aura, they were like mere ants. How could they dare to resist? Next, Huang Qingling raised her hand, and a massive divine phoenix phantom appeared. The phantom was nearly transparent at the beginning, but as Huang Qingling continued to gather immortal power, it became more and more solidified, until at last, the entire divine phoenix phantom looked as real as if an actual divine phoenix had descended into the world. The formidable pressure emitted from the divine phoenix made it difficult for everyone to even lift their heads. Not to mention, if this spell were directed at all present, it was likely that everyone there would perish on the spot. Fortunately, the target of this spell wasn't the people, but the barrier of the immortal realm. After the divine phoenix phantom solidified, Huang Qingling waved her hand, and it rushed toward the immortal realm's barrier. Boom! As the divine phoenix phantom struck the spatial barrier, a massive explosion ensued, and a violent aura produced by the explosion swept outward, engulfing all those present. Seeing this, everyone hastily employed their respective methods to defend themselves. Thankfully, it was only the aftermath of the explosion, and since they were far from the immortal realm barrier, no harm was done. After the explosion, people hardly cared about their own safety as they looked towards the barrier's location. There, the spatial barrier was riddled with cracks that were expanding. Upon seeing this, Huang Qingling waved her hand, and a streak of red light rushed toward it, like the last straw breaking the camel's back. As the red light struck the immortal realm barrier, the barrier could no longer withstand it and shattered instantly. As the immortal realm barrier completely broke apart, people had no time to celebrate before being shocked by what they saw. Through the breached barrier, they sensed not even a hint of immortal energy, but beheld a fearsome scene instead. Within the barrier, devoid of immortal energy and lacking the coveted land of the immortal realm, was the same expanse of void as outside. And, floating within the void were fragmented immortal mountains and countless immortal stones, along with the ruined architecture of immortal palaces, all drifting there. What was most terrifying, though, were the mutilated bodies of immortals and immortal beasts, also floating amidst the broken mountains and stones. In light of this, everyone's expressions changed dramatically, aside from Lin Jing. Even Huang, Qingling, and Elder Bai couldn't help but furrow their brows. Then, Elder Bai gathered immortal power and prevented the immortal realm barrier from healing at the breach. After completing this, he and Huang Qingling entered through the breach into the barrier. Seeing this, Lin Jing and the others quickly followed, entering the immortal Dao realm through the opening in the barrier. Once inside the immortal Dao realm, Lin Jing too couldn't help but frown. Inside, the space was just as void of spiritual power and immortal energy as the outside, filled only with endless emptiness. Of course, there were also the floating remains of the shattered immortal palaces, as well as the few bodies of immortals, fragmented yet emitting an aura still terrifying. Subsequently, Lin Jing looked further in, and the scenes that came into view appeared almost identical to the current one, seemingly without any difference. The other cultivators, shocked by the sight before them, reacted differently. Some, seemingly unable to believe what lay before their eyes, kept flying further inside, seeking to uncover the truth. Others flew toward the bodies of the immortals, hoping to find some clues on them. However, the auras lingering on the bodies of these long-deceased immortals prevented anyone from approaching. Of course, there were also those clever ones. They rushed toward the ruined immortal palaces immediately, hoping to find some treasures or cultivation techniques left by the immortals. While everyone was busily engaged in their own activities, suddenly, Lin Jing, whilst observing, noticed a piece of withered wood slowly drifting through the void. Upon seeing this piece of withered wood, Lin Jing became excited and swiftly flew toward it. This piece was none other than the divine tree of Tao principle, which Lin Jing had often scrutinized using observation mode. Long periods of observation had made Lin Jing extremely familiar with this piece of wood, so he couldn't possibly mistake it for anything else. What he hadn't expected was that on his journey to avoid suspicion, he had not entered the system space to observe it, yet it had drifted here, near the spatial barrier. Lin Jing couldn't help but feel that his luck was indeed good. The divine tree of Tao principle, devoid of any energy, would seem inconsequential to others, just a short piece amidst the many fragments of celestial trees floating in the void. Naturally, no one paid any attention. Thus, Lin Jing managed to approach the divine tree of Tao principle without any issues. Upon Lin Jing's approach, the system space immediately extended an invisible force, enveloping the divine tree of Tao principle. At the same time, a notification sound from system space echoed. Ding! System notification. Congratulations, host, on finding one of the 3 world seeds, the divine tree of Tao principle. Reward obtained, 1,000,000 harvest points. Ding! System notification. The divine tree of Tao principle is currently being absorbed. Any operation within system space is unavailable. Please wait momentarily. However, as the system notification sounded, Lin Jing also felt an unusual force silently entering his body and then disappearing within him. Lin Jing was immediately startled and hurriedly stimulated his divine sense to check his body. However, just then, an anomaly suddenly occurred. Within the immortal Dao realm, countless multicolored lights suddenly appeared. Upon their appearance, they immediately swept toward the nearby cultivators. When cultivators came into contact with these multicolored lights, their bodies immediately disintegrated, and their soul spirits were instantly taken away by the lights, disappearing without a trace. A Mahayana realm cultivator perished in an instant, and no one expected the immortal realm to be so dangerous. In a moment, everyone's expressions dramatically changed, no longer caring about exploration, and they hastily fled toward the barrier exit. With one person fallen, naturally, there came a second, a third. These multicolored lights were too numerous and exceedingly fast, impossible to dodge or withstand. In just a moment, several people's bodies disintegrated, their soul spirits taken by the multicolored lights. Seeing this, Lin Jing didn't bother to check his own body and hurriedly flew outside. It seemed the multicolored lights were targeting him specifically, as several lights followed close behind him. The lights moved swiftly and, with Lin Jing's speed, they were extremely difficult to evade. Moreover, with system space unavailable, Lin Jing couldn't escape into it even if he wanted to. Seeing a light about to reach him, that unusual force from before suddenly appeared and caused a multicolored light to change direction. This force was actually helping him. For a moment, Lin Jing was quite bewildered. However, now was not the time to be baffled. Apart from the earlier multicolored light, several more were still chasing him. Lin Jing continued to hurriedly flee forward, now not far from the barrier exit. Just then, those multicolored lights suddenly accelerated and chased after him. At the same time, another figure also arrived here just like him. Lin Jing turned his head and saw that this person was the sect master of Liyue Dao sect, who was also being followed by several multicolored lights. The lights behind him were even closer, rapidly nearing him. The sect master of Liyue Dao sect was also very anxious at this moment. At that time, he looked at Lin Jing. Then, the sect master of Liyue Dao sect launched a spell instantaneously, striking toward Lin Jing. Seeing this, Lin Jing hurriedly defended himself, but this delayed his escape. The sect master of Liyue Dao sect took advantage of this moment to surpass Lin Jing, flying ahead of him. Clearly, when his life was threatened, the sect master of Liyue Dao sect couldn't care about anything else. However, this was indeed effective. After overtaking Lin Jing, the immortal Yuan chasing behind him also changed direction and chased after Lin Jing together. Regrettably, he was too focused on saving his own life and didn't pay attention to the surroundings, even missing Huang Qingling, who was ahead. The previous scene was all witnessed by Huang Qingling, who became extremely angry. Although she no longer had the same feelings toward Lin Jing as before, she retained all the memories of her divided soul spirit and naturally didn't want her old acquaintance to perish here. Huang Qingling's gaze turned icy, and she unleashed a palm strike that instantly transformed into a phantom of a divine phoenix, rushing toward the sect master of Liyue Dao sect. After the strike, Huang Qingling stopped paying attention to the sect master of Liyue Dao sect and turned to Lin Jing, attempting to rescue him. However, it was half a step too late for Huang Qingling, as she could only watch the multicolored lights slowly approach Lin Jing. But in that critical moment, Huang Qingling saw Lin Jing suddenly disappear from a spot. The next moment, Lin Jing mysteriously reappeared behind her. Such a bizarre situation. Even Huang Qingling was momentarily startled. Finally, it was the scream of the sect master of Liyue Dao sect that brought her back to reality. Faced with Huang Qingling's furious strike, even the sect master of Liyue Dao sect, a peak Mahayana cultivator, could not withstand it. He was instantly overwhelmed by the phantom of the divine phoenix, becoming the first cultivator since entering the immortal Dao realm who didn't die under the multicolored lights. At this critical moment, Huang Qingling couldn't worry about much else and directly said to Lin Jing, "Hurry up and get out. It's too dangerous to stay here." As she spoke, Huang Qingling faced off against a swooping multicolored light. It seemed that reaching the level of a void immortal made it possible to fend off these multicolored lights. Looking at Elder Bai, who was currently struggling against 3 multicolored lights, it was evidently challenging. Others faced these multicolored lights with no means at all. Only these 2 managed some self-defense. Seeing this, Lin Jing didn't linger any longer. He rushed through the barrier and left the immortal Dao realm. Lin Jing let out a sigh of relief only after coming out. It was really too dangerous just now. If it hadn't been for the system space returning to normal at that critical moment, allowing Lin Jing to use the fixed-point teleportation function in time, he might have really perished within the immortal Dao realm. Just now, because of the divine tree of Dao principle, Lin Jing had ventured too deep. So, upon exiting, Lin Jing realized that the ancestors of the Qingling clan, including Elder Lei, had already come out and were waiting on the outside. Seeing Lin Jing emerge, the ancestors of the Qingling clan also couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Lin Jing then approached the elders of the Qingling clan to join them in looking toward the boundary wall. At the immortal Dao realm barrier, cultivators were flying out in panic from inside, while at an unseen location, there were immense fluctuations. Not long after, at the mouth of the boundary wall, a vast expanse of 9-colored lights suddenly emerged, obscuring the entire gap in the barrier. It seemed that these 9-colored lights intended to trap all the remaining people inside. But just then, a violent fluctuation came, and the 9-colored lights at the gap were instantly dispersed. Afterward, Cm. A large group of cultivators rushed out from inside. After all these cultivators had emerged, Huang Qingling also followed them out. It wasn't until a good while after Huang Qingling had come out that Elder Bai, with dazzling light emanating from his body and an aura even more powerful than Huang Qingling, walked out from the gap in the barrier. At this moment, Elder Bai's eyes shimmered with 9 colors, truly as if he were an immortal descending from the immortal realm. After Elder Bai came out, he immediately retracted the immortal power at the mouth of the boundary wall, and then the barrier slowly began to heal. Until the barrier was completely healed and once again replaced by the void, Elder Bai still stood there, looking at the barrier, lost in thought. It was only after a long time that Elder Bai's aura gradually calmed down, and the glow around his body also faded away. Only then did Elder Bai turn around and say to the remaining people, "Let's go." With that, he walked straight ahead. The return journey was different from the journey there. Everyone was steeped in immense loss. Moreover, there were about half as many people as there had been on the way there. The slightly less than half of the cultivators all suffered their fate within the immortal Dao realm. Actually, perishing in the immortal Dao realm was not really the issue. The key point was that this trip to the immortal Dao realm allowed them to see its true nature, severing their hopes. Especially Elder Bai, who, on the way back, was silent throughout the journey without conversing with anyone. After returning, the news about the immortal Dao realm quickly spread. Although many people had gone together to the end of the cosmic ruins, some had not followed. But once the news spread, the entire outer spatial void was shrouded in an atmosphere of despair and confusion. No path lay ahead. What could they do? If even the immortal realm had collapsed, where should they, the practitioners, ultimately go? Just when everyone was in despair, Lin Jing was also extremely frustrated. He had observed for a long time before, and there had been no issues, but just during this entry into the immortal Dao realm, problems had arisen. And it was at the critical moment of seizing the divine tree of Dao principle. Could it be that it was because I seized the divine tree of Dao principle that those 9-colored lights appeared? Lin Jing couldn't help thinking. Those 9-colored lights were extremely similar to the immortal technique of the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate. Lin Jing even suspected that it was the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate who had taken action. But who was the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate? That was the Emperor Venerate of the immortal Dao realm. Dealing with them, he didn't even need to make a move. Just with a glance, none of them could escape. So why bother with such complications? For a moment, Lin Jing was also a bit perplexed. On the way back, because he had been with the others all the time, Lin Jing hadn't entered the system space to check the conditions inside. Only after returning, when everyone had dispersed and Elder Bai had made arrangements to discuss matters with the elder of the Qingling clan, did Lin Jing find the opportunity to enter the system space to take a look. However, just as Lin Jing entered the system space, he was immediately startled. For inside the system space, there was unexpectedly a person. It could not quite be called a person, but rather a virtual shadow. Upon seeing Lin Jing enter, the shadow immediately smiled and then said, "You've finally come in. I've been waiting for you for a long time." Lin Jing looked at the shadow with a surprised face and then said, "Five Elements Ancestor, how come you are here? And you're unharmed?" It turned out that this shadow appearing inside the system space was none other than the Five Elements Ancestor. What really amazed Lin Jing was not just the appearance of the Five Elements Ancestor, but more importantly, within his system space, the Five Elements Ancestor hadn't triggered the eradicating function of the system space. The Five Elements Ancestor smiled and said, "You mean the space where the will of the immortal Dao resides?" Lin Jing, hearing this, couldn't help exclaiming, "What? The will of the immortal Dao?" The Five Elements Ancestor nodded and said, "It seems you don't know yet. This space is actually the space formed by the will of the immortal Dao. You can enter and exit freely because the will of the immortal Dao has already recognized you as its master." Hearing this, Lin Jing understood. Previously, in the illusion realm, Lin Jing saw the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate wanting to destroy the immortal Dao realm because he did not get the recognition of the will of the immortal Dao. But unexpectedly, this will of the immortal Dao was actually his own system space. Afterward, Lin Jing looked at the Five Elements Ancestor before him and asked, "How do you know all this? And why are you unharmed?" The Five Elements Ancestor chuckled and replied, "The reason I know this, and why the annihilation rules here do not target me, is naturally because I was the first master of this immortal will after it was created. It's also for this reason that I'm knowledgeable about every phase of the immortal will, including the state of the system space before its evolution." Upon hearing this, Lin Jing couldn't help but say, "So, you are the true owner of the system space?" The Five Elements Ancestor shook his head and answered, "Not exactly an owner. When the immortal will acknowledged its master, it was actually a bit too late. By that time, I was already at a disadvantage in my struggle with the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate. Just after the immortal will recognize its master, I was defeated and sealed by the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate. Otherwise, the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate would have stood no chance against me." Lin Jing looked at the Five Elements Ancestor and remembered the special power that had suddenly appeared in the immortal Dao realm before asking, "You must have come with the divine tree of Dao principle when I obtained it, right?" The Five Elements Ancestor nodded and said, "That's correct. It was at that moment." After the Five Elements Ancestor finished speaking, Lin Jing continued, "Since you've appeared here, there must surely be a reason, and I know what it is." The Five Elements Ancestor nodded and sighed. "That's right. In the battle with the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate, I lost. Before my defeat, I had sent the immortal will out of the immortal Dao realm, and in the end it was obtained by you. Moreover, the immortal will also recognize you as its master. Undoubtedly, you are fortunate. But with obtaining the immortal will and enjoying the convenience it brings, you also have to face the dangers that come with it. The primordial immortal Emperor Venerate is currently refining the immortal Dao heart in the immortal Dao realm. If he completely refines the immortal Dao heart, he'll be able to control the immortal Dao realm in another way. By then, he will certainly not be satisfied with just the immortal Dao realm. All of the cultivation world beneath the immortal Dao realm will probably suffer. And the most endangered, of course, is you. Once he finishes refining the immortal Dao heart, he'll naturally find out that the immortal will is in your possession. Upon hearing these words, Lin Jing frowned and then looked up at the five elements ancestor. Since you have come here, you must surely have a solution. The five elements ancestor looked at Lin Jing and nodded. In that battle with the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate that lasted 1,000,000 years, the entire immortal Tao realm was nearly destroyed. But an Emperor Venerate's cultivation cannot be killed. He can't kill me, and I can't kill him. We can only seal each other. Starting tens of thousands of years ago, I was completely suppressed by the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate, and a few hundred years ago, I was utterly defeated and sealed by him. All of this is true, but it is also a strategy of mine. Before being sealed, I sent the immortal will out of the immortal Tao realm and split off a soul fragment that merged into the divine tree of Tao principle, waiting for the immortal will to find a new master to return to this immortal Tao realm so that I could tell him everything. In fact, from the moment the immortal will first acknowledged me as its master, I already understood that to completely defeat the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate, I would have to rely on the immortal will. Unfortunately, when the immortal will acknowledged me as its master, it was already too late. By that time, I was being suppressed by the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate and could no longer defeat him. So I could only send out the immortal will, awaiting the arrival of the next person destined for it. Fortunately, you appeared. You've been acknowledged by the immortal will, and you're practicing the immortal Tao 5 elements technique I passed down. Such a perfect match is simply fated. Then, the 5 elements ancestor looked at Lin Jing with a solemn expression and declared, I think to defeat the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate, you must take action. With the immortal will recognizing you as master, and with the possession of the 3 world seeds, I can help you achieve the unique sovereign realm. You are the one to defeat the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate. Me? Lin Jing was somewhat baffled. How can I, not even avoid immortal yet, achieve the unique sovereign? You can, but only temporarily, the 5 elements ancestor said. However, after speaking these words, the phantasm of the 5 elements ancestor suddenly became unstable. The apparition furrowed its brow and said to Lin Jing, There's been an accident with the main body. This soul fragment can't last for long. I can't talk to you much longer. If you want to know everything, let the immortal will fully evolve, and naturally you will understand all that you want to. I'll wait for you in the immortal Tao realm. Remember not to take too long. Otherwise, once the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate completely refines the immortal Tao heart, everything will be too late. As the 5 elements ancestor spoke his last words, his phantasm began to fade until his voice fell silent. The phantom completely dissipated from view. After the 5 elements ancestor vanished, Lin Jing was left alone in the entire system space. Lin Jing stood in place, pondering the 5 elements ancestor's words. Regarding all that the 5 elements ancestor had mentioned, Lin Jing already believed some of it, but not entirely. Since he had said that by evolving the immortal will, that is, the system space, Lin Jing himself would know everything. Then it wouldn't be too late to see everything for himself after the evolution of the system space was complete. Next, Lin Jing looked toward the divine mountain within the system space, where the divine tree of Tao principle resided. Originally, when the divine tree of Tao principle was brought into the system space, that special immortal Yuan had already left Lin Jing and entered the divine tree of Tao principle. The divine mountain of the Tao realm had now, like the land of the 9 heavens reincarnation and the transcendent lotus pond, merged into the system space. Lin Jing then went straight to the divine mountain of the Tao realm. As soon as Lin Jing entered the divine mountain of the Tao realm, he was once again pulled into an illusion realm. In this illusion realm, Lin Jing saw the cause of all these events, and the words previously spoken by the 5 elements ancestor were also confirmed here. This made Lin Jing trust in the words of the 5 elements ancestor even more. Soon, the illusion realm ended, and Lin Jing arrived beside the divine tree of Tao principle. He then opened the system panel to inspect the divine tree of Tao principle. Immortal Tao realm world seed. Divine tree of Tao principle. Growth environment. Divine mountain of the Tao realm. Growth lifespan. The world seed's lifespan is linked to that of the immortal Tao realm. If the immortal Tao realm exists, the seed thrives. If the immortal Tao realm perishes, the seed withers. The divine tree of Tao principle, possessing the power of laws of heaven, is the foundation for all laws in the immortal Tao realm, an indispensable world seed for the realm. Note: after achieving the Emperor Venerate realm, one can comprehend the laws of the Tao realm with the aid of the divine tree of Tao principle, attaining the state of unique sovereign. The laws of the Tao realm are an essential force for ascending to the unique sovereign realm. Indeed, this divine tree of Tao principle was also an essential world seed for ascending to the unique sovereign realm. After inspecting the divine tree of Tao principle, Lin Jing then left system space. Right after leaving system space, Lin Jing was sought out by the patriarch of the Qingling clan. The patriarch of the Qingling clan seemed to be in a very bad mood. After informing Lin Jing that Elder Bai was looking for him, he left on his own. Lin Jing was somewhat unclear about the reason, but he still set aside this matter for the time being and went to see Elder Bai. After seeing Elder Bai's direct words startled Lin Jing. "My lifespan isn't much longer. The matters of the Elixir Alliance, I'll leave them to you all from now on." "How could that be? Elder Bai, you've clearly just advanced to the void immortal realm, gaining tens of thousands of years in lifespan. How can it be nearly exhausted? Mahayana cultivators generally have 20,000 years of lifespan, but if they break through the barrier between mortals and immortals, advancing to the void immortal realm, it would directly increase their lifespan to 100,000 years. A lifespan of 100,000 years. How could it be so easily depleted? Even using some forbidden immortal technique, it couldn't possibly consume so much." It was for this reason that Lin Jing was so startled upon hearing Elder Bai's words. Elder Bai, however, appeared very resigned and directly said to Lin Jing, "Previously in the immortal Tao realm, I used a forbidden immortal technique that far exceeded my cultivation. After using that immortal technique, no matter how much lifespan I had, it would dissolve within 30 years, leading me to fall again into reincarnation. Isn't there any way to remedy this?" Lin Jing asked anxiously. Elder Bai shook his head, saying, "There isn't. Once this technique is used, there is no saving it. Moreover, having pursued this immortal road for 20,000 years without hope in sight, I've grown tired. I don't wish to continue anymore. If possible, perhaps becoming a mere mortal wouldn't be so bad." Upon hearing this, Lin Jing hurriedly said, "Elder Bai, the immortal road is not hopeless. It's just that it has not been found yet. I believe that one day I will find that path." Hearing this, Elder Bai smiled and said, "You have such determination, which is good. I believe you will find that path. However, I can't accompany you any longer." Lin Jing became somewhat anxious. "But Elder Bai..." However, before Lin Jing could finish speaking, Elder Bai interrupted him. "Actually, I had already come to terms with it before I used the forbidden technique. Otherwise, I wouldn't have used it." Saying this, Elder Bai smiled at Lin Jing. "Now, there are still 20-something years left before the 30-year term ends. I plan to return to the Xianxing realm, then find a place to seclude myself and spend the last years of my life. Of course, you all can come visit this old man, but don't come to persuade me. I'm tired and want to rest. After these 20-something years pass, I will naturally dissolve, and then I will be reborn and fall into the cycle of reincarnation. This end is much better than for others, don't you think?" Lin Jing was silent, nodding. Yes, compared to the end of other cultivators, being able to re-enter the cycle of reincarnation and be reborn is the best outcome. And Elder Bai continued, "After being reborn, maybe I'll be a scholar, or perhaps a cowherd, or maybe a rich young master. All possibilities. If one day after my reincarnation you meet my reincarnated self, please do not lead me to cultivate. As for cultivation, this lifetime is enough. I do not wish to go through it a second time. As Elder Bai spoke, Lin Jing listened silently. At that moment, the patriarch of the Qingling clan entered with red eyes, carrying 2 jars of aged wine. Old Bai, why talk about these things? Come, let's drink. It's been a long time since we've drunk together. With old Lin gone, it's good that we have the young Lin here as a substitute. Today, we'll drink to our heart's content. Elder Bai looked at the patriarch of the Qingling clan and then said with a smile, Good, let's not think about those things today. Let's, together, drink to our heart's content. They had been drinking for 3 days straight, and later on, Elder Lei and several others also joined in. Perhaps the impact of this matter was too great for everyone, and for a while, it was difficult for them to accept. Therefore, they indulged excessively in this drinking session. After this period of drinking, they bid farewell to Huang, Qingling, and left together, returning to the Xianqing realm. Whereas Huang Qingling insisted on searching for the lost fragments of the demon race secret realm, hoping to find her lost memories, and chose to stay here. She had thought that as long as she could enter the immortal Dao realm, it would be easier to search for her lost memories. But unexpectedly, the immortal Dao realm had become such a state and was also so dangerous that even she could not stay inside indefinitely. Eventually, she had to give up. Seeing Huang Qingling so persistent, Lin Jing even felt an impulse to tell her the truth. But recalling the entrustment of Huang Qingling's parents, and also that he really should not explain how he came to know of the events a million years ago, he then suppressed that impulse. After returning to the Xianqing realm, Lin Jing went back to the Elixir Alliance and began to be busy every day. Since returning, Elder Bai had resigned from his position as the Grand Elder of the Elixir Alliance and retired to the mountains. The Qingling clan's ancestor also retired with Elder Bai, each settling in a neighboring small courtyard in the mountains. They continued to live as normal, and Lin Jing, every once in a while, would visit them, and every time, he would bring several jars of fine wine to drink merrily together. 20-some years, for mortals, passed very slowly, but for cultivators with long lifespans, it passed very quickly. Especially for someone like Lin Jing, a Mayana realm cultivator who had cultivated for 20,000 years, it was only a very small part of his life. Elder Bai underwent reincarnation. It was 25 years after they returned. After Elder Bai's reincarnation, the Qingling clan's ancestor protected the last 2 courtyards they lived in with a formation. Then, the Qingling clan's ancestor left the place filled with loneliness and returned to the Qingling clan. And at that place, only the formation-protected, simple courtyards were left. Of course, there was also that lonely grave. Since then, time seemed to accelerate, passing incredibly fast. In the first 100 years after returning, Huang Qingling also returned from the outer spatial void, and upon his return, he chased out all the cultivators from the demon race secret realm, taking full possession of it. 200 years after returning, Lin Ju and Yuan finally achieved fruition in their cultivation and became Dao companions. That day, everyone gathered together, and even Huang Qingling came to congratulate. But after the laughter, Li Qingqing was foolishly gazing at Lin Jing. But now, after so many years, Lin Jing still seemed oblivious. Until 300 years after returning, Lin Jing went to the outer spatial void again, and this day lasted 200 years. When he returned from the outer spatial void, 500 years had already passed since his last return from there. And after returning this time, Lin Jing didn't go to the Elixir Alliance, nor return to the Thousand Islands domain. Instead, he went straight to the Nanming domain and entered the barren Forbidden Zone. That day, the barren Forbidden Zone was filled with thunder, and it lasted the whole night. Even outside the barren Forbidden Zone, one could feel the terrifying power, as though it were the apocalypse itself. Some cultivators wanted to enter to investigate, but they hurriedly came back out not long after entering. Such a terrifying force was naturally unbearable for those cultivators, and they knew they should not provoke whoever was causing such a commotion. So, it was best to keep away as soon as possible. Not long after the thunder, there appeared the 9-colored immortal light, hovering undispersed above the barren, forbidden zone. Many people speculated that an immortal treasure had emerged, yet no one dared to go in and check. Outside the barren, forbidden zone, there is Qingling Town. Originally, because it was close to the barren, forbidden zone, there were no fields, and even the mountainsides were not casually entered due to the existence of the barren, forbidden zone. Thus, Qingling Town had never been prosperous. Until 600 years ago, when a bizarre phenomenon that reduced one's lifespan in the barren, forbidden zone disappeared. Qingling Town gradually began to develop. And since then, although the barren, forbidden zone, lacking spiritual energy, wasn't regarded highly by those cultivators, and even its development wasn't as good as the towns near immortal cities. But on the edge of the barren, forbidden zone, with the disappearance of the life-reducing bizarre phenomenon, the people of Qingling Town live quite comfortably. A few miles from Qingling Town, there's a hillside where the grass is lush and thrives vigorously, and the entire hillside is covered in grass except for a single dense tree at the top of the hill. Such a hillside is rather suitable for grazing sheep. At this time, under the big tree at the top of the hillside, there really was a young boy, head resting on a straw hat, with a foxtail grass in his mouth, reclining under the tree with his legs crossed, swaying leisurely as if quite content. And not far from him, a dozen sheep were leisurely grazing on the grassland. It turns out this young boy was indeed a shepherd. While the boy was enjoying this leisurely moment, a middle-aged man in a short shirt, carrying a wood-cutting axe, walked past the hillside. Upon seeing the man, the boy quickly got up and shouted to the man, "Old Chai, why did you wake up so late for wood-cutting today?" The man, seeing the young boy, also shouted with his robust voice, "You little lamb, my family name is Lu, not Chai. Don't call me Old Chai, just because I chop wood." The young boy, hearing this, also laughed, saying, "You want to talk, Old Chai? I am Bai, not young, yet you still call me little lamb. Isn't it just because you call me that first that I then called you that?" The man argued. The young boy simply waved his hand, saying, "Forget it, let's not talk about this. Old Chai, why did you get up so late today? Aren't you afraid your wife won't let you into the bed if you don't chop enough wood?" The man, hearing this, scolded with a laugh. "You little rascal, your hair hasn't even fully grown yet, and you know so much. You must have spent quite some time peeping at the village girls bathing." After saying that, the man complained, "It was all because of the strange thunder last night, which kept me awake all night. Today, when I got up, I heard everyone talking about it. They said that last night, inside the barren, forbidden zone, there must have been a cultivator undergoing tribulation. The commotion was extraordinary. It is said that some cultivators had just entered, and then they came back out right away. The person inside, he must be a great cultivator. Also, this morning, with the continuous appearance of the nine-colored immortal light, it is said that an immortal treasure has emerged, obtained by that great cultivator." The young boy, hearing this, suddenly lost interest. "I thought it was something serious. So it's just this. You little bugger," the man said to the young boy. "That's a great cultivator possessing an immortal treasure. Aren't you interested in becoming his disciple? Maybe you have a decent spirit root aptitude, and that great cultivator will take notice and accept you as his disciple on his own initiative. Once you become that great cultivator's disciple, it won't be long before you can travel the skies and move mountains. Would you still be herding sheep?" The young boy responded, "I really don't. Who cares about cultivators? Is it even more comfortable than herding sheep? I doubt it. I still find herding sheep more comfortable." "You," the man, pointing at the young boy, seemed frustrated but finally heaved a sigh, saying helplessly, "Sigh, I really don't understand what you think. Everyone else dreams of joining an immortal sect and becoming a cultivator who can fly to the heavens and hide inside the earth. But you have no interest at all, just wanting to be a shepherd." The young boy smiled and said, "Maybe in my past life, I was a cultivator who grew tired of it." Looking at the young boy in front of him, the man was momentarily speechless, and then turned around and walked away towards the forest behind the hill. Seeing that the man was leaving, the young boy quickly called out to him, "Old Chai, don't go. Let's chat a bit more." The man, without turning his head, said, "No more, you little lamb. While you're chatting, Your sheep are getting full, but my wood is still unchopped, and I don't want to end up unable to get into bed when I get home." The young boy, laughing, replied, "Like I said, my family name is Bai, not Yang. My family name is Liu, not Chai." The man's voice faded as he went farther. On the hillside, there was still the young boy and his dozen or so sheep. The sky was very blue, with white clouds floating and a light breeze blue tousling the boy's hair. The young boy then lay down, looking at the distant sky, and murmured softly, "Maybe my previous life really was that of a cultivator tired of the cultivating life." The young boy looked towards the distant sky, and above him in the cloud that he could not see, Lin Jing was watching this cultivator-weary boy. Shortly thereafter, Lin Jing left. From the beginning to the end, Lin Jing never appeared to disturb the young boy. After he left, Lin Jing called out the system and entered the system space. The first thing Lin Jing did upon entering the system space was to open the system panel. Immediately, that scene of the system panel appeared in front of Lin Jing. System space, level 9, evolution stage. Remaining time, 1,000 hours, accumulative, 1,000 hours. Host, Lin Jing. Spirit field range, 135, 100 plus 35 acres. Spiritual energy density, 10. Flow of time speed, 10. Daily entrance time, 12 hours full. Upgrade required. Samsara Holy Fruit, 1/1. Transcendent Celestial Golden Lotus, 1 out of 1. Divine Tree of Tao Principle, 1 of 1. Alchemy Room, September 9th. Evolution Stages, 0/10. Evolution points needed per stage, 100000. Special functions, alert mode, observation, fixed point teleportation, time accumulation. Harvest points remaining, 10 million full. Lin Jing, 866/100000. Spiritual Root. 5 elements, Heavenly Spiritual Root, Supreme Grade. Cultivation, Void Immortal, 0%. Cultivation Technique. Immortal Tao 5 Elements Technique, 5 Elements Divine Art. Ling In Imperial Sword Technique, Divine Fire Triple Realm. Suboccupation, 9th Grade Alchemist, full. Alchemy Room, Level 9, full. Increase in Divine Sense Strength, 100%. Increase in Alchemy Success Rate, 9th Grade 10%. 8th Grade 20%. 7th Grade 30%. 6th Rank 40%. 5th Rank and below, 50% full. Improve in Elixir Medicine Quality, 9th Grade 10%. 8th Grade 20%. 7th Grade 30%. 6th Rank 40%. 5th Rank and below, 50% full. Appearance Rate of Flawless Elixir Medicine, 9th Grade 10%. 8th Grade 20%. 7th Grade 30%. 6th Rank 40%. 5th Rank and below, 50% full. Everything that had happened inside the barren Forbidden Zone was orchestrated by Lin Jing. Lin Jing had spent 500 years elevating his cultivation to the pinnacle of Mahayana, and he had also stayed in the outer spatial void for a full 200 years. He had even gathered 2 sets of materials for manufacturing the Ascension Pill. Then, he returned to the Nanming domain and directly refined both sets of materials into Ascension Pills in the barren Forbidden Zone. Moreover, before this, Lin Jing had taken one of the Ascension Pills himself, elevating his cultivation to the realm of Void Immortal. Now that he had reached the Void Immortal realm, Lin Jing was prepared for everything. It was about time to begin the evolution of the system space. Subsequently, Lin Jing closed the system panel and started evolving the system space. Lin Jing first converted all of the 10 million harvest points into evolution points. Then, the evolution began. Evolution first stage. Immediately, there were some differences in the system space, accompanied by a system prompt. Ding! System prompt. Evolution has entered the first stage. System level has decreased. Alchemy room level has decreased. All functions have been downgraded. System space, level 9, evolution first stage. Remaining time, 900 hours. Accumulable, 900 hours. Host, Lin Jing. Spirit field area, 125, 90 plus 35 mu. Spiritual energy density, 9. Flow of time speed, 9. Daily entry time, 12 hours, full. Evolution stage, 1 out of 10. Remaining evolution points, 900,000. Evolution second stage, the space changed again. System space, level 8. Evolution second stage. Remaining time, 800 hours, accumulable, 800 hours. Host, Lin Jing. Spirit field area, 115, 80 plus 35 mu. Spiritual energy density, 8. Flow of time speed, 8. Daily entry time, 12 hours full. Evolution stage, 2 out of 10. Remaining evolution points, 800,000 freewebnovel.com. After that came the third stage of evolution, fourth stage, fifth stage, until evolution reached the ninth stage. By this time, the system space had undergone significant changes, reverting to the state it was in when Lin Jing first obtained it. System space, level 1, evolution ninth stage. Remaining time, 100 hours, accumulable, 100 hours. Host, Lin Jing. Spirit field area, 10 mu. Spiritual energy density, 1. Flow of time speed, 1. Daily entry time, 2 hours. Evolution stage, 9 out of 10. Remaining evolution points, 100,000. At this point, the spirit field in the system space had disappeared, as had the alchemy room, which reverted to its original state. Fortunately, Lin Jing knew that such conditions would occur during the evolution of the system space. He had already moved those rare spirit plants out of the system space and planted them elsewhere. Now there was only one evolution left, and the system space would return to its original state. Without any hesitation, Lin Jing chose to evolve. After this evolution began, there were no more system prompts, and Lin Jing suddenly found himself in the outside world. At that moment, he could no longer sense the existence of the system space. The system space had completely disappeared. After the disappearance of the system space, a cluster of mystical lights appeared deep within Lin Jing's sea of consciousness. Lin Jing then stimulated his soul spirit to approach the lights. When Lin Jing's soul spirit touched the lights, he unexpectedly entered another space. This space was vast, stretching beyond what the eye could see, but it was devoid of life, utterly barren everywhere. In the center of the space stood 3 towering mountains, each supporting a world seed. The samsara holy fruit, the transcendent celestial golden lotus, and the divine tree of Tao principle had appeared in this space in such a manner. Lin Jing merely thought, and the next moment, he found himself instantly appearing between 3 towering mountains. He hadn't expected it to be so magical. Within this space, Lin Jing was like a sovereign, able to appear at any location he desired. In the valley between the 3 mountains, there was a valley enclosed by high peaks. And in that valley, there was a cluster of 9-colored light floating there, identical to the light within Lin Jing's sea of knowledge. Lin Jing's thoughts shifted, and the next moment, he appeared beside this light. This time, before Lin Jing could take any action, the light pulled him into a void space. In this nothingness, Lin Jing couldn't feel his own body and could only observe the void space changing like a god watching from above. What was displayed here seemed to be the formation of a realm. Lin Jing watched the space transition from the initial void into a realm space. After that, mountains, rivers, and lakes appeared within the space, followed by the emergence of various creatures. Just then, Lin Jing saw a person arrive here. This individual's presence was indistinct, and his realm inscrutable, as if he were merely immortal. Yet, just by standing there, doing nothing, his face remained obscured from view. After this person's arrival, with a casual beckoning, the space underwent tremendous change. Plants grew wildly, and countless 9-colored lights began to emerge within the space. And then, Lin Jing also saw the entire space continuously expanding, A 9-colored jade pillar sprouted out of nowhere, stretching up to the heavens above. After that, the individual extended his hand, and 3 seeds materialized out of thin air. Then he scattered the seeds, and after being released, the 3 seeds quickly grew into the samsara holy fruit, the transcendent celestial golden lotus, and the divine tree of Tao principle. Thereafter, the person extended his hand again, and countless 9-colored lights converged, ultimately forming a heart-shaped, dazzling light. The dazzling light slowly condensed, eventually forming a heart-shaped white jade emitting 9-colored light. And at that moment, the heart-shaped white jade was placed inside the 9-colored jade pillar. Having done all this, the person turned his head and looked towards Lin Jing. He then reached out and grabbed him in his hand. It seems you are the innate spirit of this realm. Hence, you shall become the space will of this realm. However, before that, you need some modifications. As the person spoke, 9-colored lights began to flicker on Lin Jing, presumably starting the transformation. This transformation process was not as quick as before, but took quite some time, and during this period, that individual kept muttering to himself. In the beginning, let's make it like this. It should be quite interesting. As for the name, let's call it System Space. After that, the person continued the transformation until a good while later, when the modifications were complete, he exhaled a sigh of relief. Phew, finally, the transformation is complete. Next, it's all about whether someone can bond with you and fully comprehend you. If someone manages to fully understand you, they could reach our level of existence. Having said this, the person put Lin Jing into the 9-colored jade pillar, that heart-shaped entity radiating 9-colored light. Afterward, the person left this place. Once the person had left, the space continued to change, and the passage of time within the space began to accelerate rapidly. Lin Jing couldn't do anything but watch, until at last, a person appeared and arrived in this space. This person was different from the others. He had ascended from the lower realm in a certain manner. It was also after this person's appearance that the entire space once again underwent a transformation, with countless people flying and burrowing, able to destroy heaven and earth with a mere wave of a hand. What followed were the second, the third, until later, another peerless genius emerged, taking the entire space by storm and shocking all beings within. As for what came after, there is no need to say. The first ascendant was the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate, and the peerless genius was the 5 elements ancestor. In the end, the two engaged in a great battle, destroying the entire immortal Tao realm. After countless years, the 5 elements ancestor, unable to defeat primordial immortal, Emperor Venerate, sees an opportunity before being sealed and sent the will of immortal Tao out. Lin Jing watched as the will of immortal Tao traversed countless spaces, eventually descending upon himself who had just been in a car accident. And at that moment, everything abruptly halted. Lin Jing regained consciousness once more. Having witnessed all this, Lin Jing understood everything. He also knew that what the 5 elements ancestor had said was all true. Afterward, Lin Jing's thoughts shifted. The next instant, he reappeared in the external world. Although the system was no longer present, the space still existed, and the 3 great world seeds were all still there. Lin Jing also knew what he needed to do next. Nanshan Immortal City, Li family. Li Qingling would return to the Li family every so often, and for all these years, she had never made an exception. 500 years had passed, and even she had become a Tao integration stage powerhouse, not far from reaching the tribulation stage. At this moment, Li Qingling stood in the courtyard, gazing at everything that remained familiar around her with nostalgia, filling her eyes. However, just then, a familiar figure appeared before her. Li Qingling hurriedly looked up at the figure and exclaimed in surprise, "Lin Jing, brother, you've returned." The person who had appeared was Lin Jing. Lin Jing looked at Li Qingling before him. It seemed she was always like this, always waiting for his return, and even now, it remained the same. Qingling. Watching Li Qingling, Lin Jing hesitated to speak, but he knew he had to. Lin Jing, brother, speak. I'm listening, said Li Qingqing with a smile. Lin Jing was silent for a moment before he spoke. I'm going to have to leave again soon. Upon hearing this, Li Qingqing tried to mask her feelings, but couldn't hide the disappointment in her eyes. How long will this trip be? Is it dangerous? Li Qingqing asked these words gently, but the bitterness at the corners of her mouth was difficult to conceal. Lin Jing hesitated, then said, This time shouldn't be too dangerous. As for how long it will be, I'm not sure. Maybe soon, or maybe a long time. Li Qingqing was taken aback by his words, and paused for a good while before asking Lin Jing again. When are you leaving? Her voice was still so gentle. Lin Jing paused for a moment and replied, It should be in the next couple of days. Upon hearing this, Li Qingqing instantly fell silent. After a long while, she looked up and silently gazed at Lin Jing. Stay a little longer this time. After all, we don't know when you'll be able to come back. Lin Jing heard this and looked at Li Qingqing, nodding his head. All right. 5 days later, still in the Li family courtyard, Lin Jing handed a space ring to Li Qingqing and then said, The items in here are enough for you to advance your cultivation to the Mahayana realm. And at the very bottom, I prepared a gift for you. I have sealed it, and only when you reach the peak of Mahayana can it be opened. Li Qingqing stepped forward and embraced Lin Jing, speaking softly. Although I don't know what your mission entails, I understand that what you're doing is no ordinary matter. Whatever you do, remember to be extremely careful. I'll always be waiting for you. As Li Qingqing came into his arms, Lin Jing also opened his, enveloping her and gently stroking her hair, saying, If all goes well this time, we shouldn't have to be apart again in the future. Li Qingqing looked up at Lin Jing and said, All right, then I'll wait for you. Lin Jing left, but did not leave the Nanming domain. Instead, he went to another place, the Demon Race Secret Realm. In the Demon Race Secret Realm, within the Qingling Palace, Lin Jing stood before Huang Qingling and got straight to the point. Qingling, help me open the barrier to the Immortal Realm. I need to go there. Huang Qingling showed no reaction to Lin Jing's familiar way of addressing her, as he had since the time of sharing his soul. She did not refuse. Instead, she looked at Lin Jing with curiosity and asked, You should be well aware of the situation in the Immortal Dao realm, and you surely understand its dangers. Now that you've just advanced to the Void Immortal realm, why would you want to enter the Immortal Dao realm? Lin Jing replied with determination. This time, I have a reason that compels me to go. Huang Qingling heard this and said nothing, just gazed steadily at Lin Jing before her. Lin Jing did the same, his gaze firm, meeting Huang Qingling's. After a moment, Huang Qingling looked away, as if conceding. All right, I'll help you this time. Having said that, Huang Qingling continued. When do you plan to go to the Immortal Dao realm? Now, Lin Jing replied directly. So urgently, won't you prepare further? Huang Qingling asked with a slight frown. Lin Jing nodded. Everything is ready. We can leave now. All right. If that's the case, I won't ask any further, Huang Qingling conceded. The spatial barrier of the Demon Race Secret Realm could connect directly to the outer spatial void, and Grandfather Shi Yuan, had once taken this route to the outer spatial void. After leaving the Qingling Palace, the two immediately made their way to the outer spatial void. Upon entering the outer spatial void, they did not linger and flew straight to the end of the Void Sky River. Both being of void immortal cultivation, their speed was naturally much faster than the last time they had come. With their full speed unleashed, reaching the end of the Void Sky River would not even take half a month. Along the way, Huang Qingling chuckled and said to Lin Jing, Last time you asked for my help, it cost 3 immortal yuan. What about this time? Will you prepare to offer? For some reason, since returning from the outer spatial void last time, Huang Qingling had begun to change. She became less cold and aloof, occasionally revealing some emotions, like now, sometimes even joking with Lin Jing. This gave Lin Jing a faint illusion that the Huang Qingling of before seemed to have returned. Especially now, Having left 200 years ago and just returned from the outer spatial void, these 200 years apart did not make him feel distance from Huang Qingling. Rather, they seemed even closer than before. This made Lin Jing wonder if it was all an illusion, but the illusion felt so real. Lin Jing also smiled and said, "Of course, since I asked you to make a move, naturally I wouldn't come empty-handed. I have prepared a gift for you." After saying that, Lin Jing took out a multicolored jade box and handed it to Huang Qingling. "This is the gift I've prepared for you." After saying that, Lin Jing added, "Don't look at it now. Wait until I enter the Immortal Dao realm, then you can open it." Holding the multicolored jade box, Huang Qingling couldn't help but become curious. What kind of gift is it? It's so mysterious. Lin Jing gave a mysterious smile and said, "Don't worry, you will definitely like this gift." Hearing Lin Jing say this, Huang Qingling looked at Lin Jing somewhat suspiciously. "Are you sure?" Lin Jing nodded. "Of course. In that case, I'll accept it first." After reaching the end of the Void Sky River, the two of them worked together to break the barriers of the Immortal Dao realm once again, exposing it once more. Before leaving, Lin Jing instructed Huang Qingling, "I've left an ascension pill for Qing. She can take it once she breaks through to the peak of Mahayana. Before then, I'll need you to take good care of her." Huang Qingling nodded, then asked Lin Jing, "This time you enter the Immortal Dao realm. Are you sure there's no danger?" Lin Jing nodded and said, "There might be some danger, but it should be minor." Huang Qingling nodded and said, "Well, given your mysteriousness, you probably have many methods up your sleeve. Since you said there's not much danger, I reckon it will be fine." Then, Lin Jing spoke directly to Huang Qingling. "Let's go." After saying that, Lin Jing directly passed through the barrier into the Immortal Dao realm. And once inside the Immortal Dao realm, Lin Jing immediately retracted the immortal power used to stabilize the barrier breach, and at that moment, the barrier began to slowly heal. It was then that Huang Qingling suddenly spoke out to Lin Jing, who had already entered the system space. "When you leave this time, when can we see you again?" Hearing this, Lin Jing turned his head to look at Huang Qingling and said, "Perhaps, when one day you can feel the power of ascension, you'll see me again." As Lin Jing's voice fell, the breach in the barrier healed once again, and Lin Jing remained in the Immortal Dao realm. Inside the Immortal Dao realm, upon a mere thought from Lin Jing, a cluster of 9-colored light appeared. Then, Lin Jing's divine sense reached into that cluster of 9-colored light. The next moment, Lin Jing suddenly felt that everything in the entire Immortal Dao realm was enveloped within his divine sense. Of course, Lin Jing's divine sense wasn't naturally so exaggerated. It was so because what Lin Jing held, that cluster of 9-colored light, was the will of the Immortal Dao. Under this divine sense, Lin Jing saw in the center of the Immortal Dao realm a broken 9-colored jade pillar with two people sitting cross-legged atop it, and between them, a heart-shaped white jade emanating 9-colored light. One of them, his body continuously flowing with 9-colored light, entering into that heart-shaped white jade. And that originally heart-shaped white jade was then changing color, only lacking a small point at the tip of the heart before turning completely red. Although it was the first time Lin Jing truly saw this person, he had seen his face many times before. He was none other than the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate. And the other person on the jade pillar was wrapped in the power of 9 colors, only vaguely revealing a human form. It must be the sealed 5 elements ancestor. Seeing this scene, Lin Jing also sighed in relief. It seems it's not too late. After saying this, Lin Jing merely thought, and the next moment, he appeared atop the broken 9-colored jade pillar. Upon Lin Jing's arrival, neither of the two showed any reaction. This was because the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate was currently using all his strength in the refinement of the Immortal Dao heart, and before the refinement was complete, he couldn't possibly wake up. Lin Jing didn't bother with the primordial Emperor Venerate, but instead directly approached the figure enveloped in the 9-colored light. Then he reached out his hand, bringing the will of the immortal Tao close to that figure. Instantly, the colorful light wrapping around this person dispersed, and the person within was revealed. This person was none other than the Five Elements ancestor. The Five Elements ancestor had just been unsealed and was still somewhat weak, but he immediately turned his gaze toward the immortal Tao heart in front of him. Thank goodness it's still in time. After saying that, the Five Elements ancestor turned to look at Lin Jing and said, "You must understand all of this by now." Lin Jing nodded and gave a respectful bow. "Yes, senior." The Five Elements ancestor nodded, then spoke. "The only plan now is to use my cultivation to help you reach the Emperor Venerate realm. And then by harnessing the three great Tao seeds along with the will of the immortal Tao, let you break through to the unique sovereign realm. However, this method has a disadvantage. It can only last for 9 breaths. I understand this already." Lin Jing nodded. But after saying this, Lin Jing looked at the Five Elements ancestor with some concern and said, "Senior, but if you lose your cultivation, I'm afraid." The Five Elements ancestor looked at the opposite primordial immortal Emperor Venerate with a resolute gaze and directly said, "This is the only way to stop him. For the sake of the immortal Tao realm, and for the countless cultivators of the cultivation world in the lower realm, sacrifices must be made. We have to lend them this broken path of cultivation." After saying this, the Five Elements ancestor stretched out his hand, and Lin Jing was immediately pulled in front of him. The next moment, Lin Jing suddenly felt an immense surge of immortal power and immortal Yuan flowing into his body, and his cultivation started to increase rapidly at an incredible pace. While enhancing Lin Jing's cultivation, the Five Elements ancestor spoke to Lin Jing. "Since you already know everything, you must also know there's still some time left after the destruction of the immortal envoy Emperor Venerate. You can use your unique sovereign cultivation to facilitate the entire immortal Tao realm's restoration. When the time comes, I'll leave it to you." Lin Jing nodded and said, "I understand, senior." It didn't take long for the cultivation of the Five Elements ancestor to completely fall, while Lin Jing ascended to the Emperor Venerate realm. The remainder, I'll leave to you. After the Five Elements ancestor's cultivation dropped completely, his life also reached its end, and after these words, he disappeared with a smile. To stop the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate, to restore the immortal Tao realm, the Five Elements ancestor sacrificed himself, achieving the Emperor Venerate cultivation for Lin Jing, and ultimately he himself dissipated. After the Five Elements ancestor dissipated, Lin Jing merely willed it, and the immortal Tao will merge back into his sea of consciousness. At the same time, within the space of immortal Tao will the power of the three great world seeds surge from within, converging into Lin Jing's body. The power of the three great world seeds, along with the immortal Tao, will in Lin Jing's sea of consciousness cause Lin Jing's cultivation to continue to rise. At the same time, Lin Jing's divine sense and its connection to the entire immortal Tao realm grew increasingly close. At this moment, the immortal Tao heart turned completely red, and then a terrifying aura spread out from the body of the primordial immortal Emperor Venerate opposite Lin Jing. In just an instant, an overly excited voice cried out, "Ha ha! I've succeeded. I've finally refined the immortal Tao heart. I am the true ruler of the immortal Tao realm. Five Elements Emperor, you've lost." But as soon as he finished speaking, he immediately realized something was wrong. Before him, there was no trace of the Five Elements ancestor, but a strange man standing there. And from this stranger, he couldn't sense any presence. "Who are you?" The primordial immortal Emperor Venerate immediately became wary and hurriedly asked the man in front of him. But the man looked at him calmly and directly said, "The Five Elements Emperor hasn't lost. It's you who have lost, primordial immortal Emperor Venerate." As the man's words fell, a moment later, an indescribable aura emanated from him. Then the man didn't hesitate and directly spoke. "I, Lin Jing, in the name of the ruler of the immortal Tao realm, strip you of your emperor venerate cultivation and return it to the immortal Tao realm. I, Lin Jing, in the name of the ruler of the immortal Tao realm, strip you of your emperor venerate's power of laws and return it to the immortal Tao realm. I, Lin Jing, in the name of the ruler of the immortal Tao realm, strip you of your emperor venerate's soul spirit and return it to the immortal Tao realm. This voice, like a curse, drove the fear within the primordial immortal emperor venerate to grow and spread rapidly. After the voice fell, the primordial immortal emperor venerate found that the immortal Tao heart he had just refined suddenly lost its response, and the Tao heart once again turned white. And his cultivation, his comprehension of the power of laws, and his soul spirit were all rapidly being drawn out of his body and dissipating into the entire immortal Tao realm. No, sovereign, it's impossible. I should have been the sovereign. It's not possible. The primordial immortal emperor venerate roared, but it was to no avail. In just an instant, the primordial immortal emperor venerate, the instigator of the destruction of the immortal Tao realm, completely dissipated. And all that he had acquired before was also returned to the immortal Tao realm. After stripping the primordial immortal emperor venerate of everything, Lin Jing no longer paid attention to the emperor venerate. Instead, he scanned the entire immortal Tao realm with his divine sense and spoke again. I, Lin Jing, in the name of the ruler of the immortal Tao realm, return my cultivation to the immortal Tao realm to aid in its repair. As soon as his words fell, even though not even 9 breaths worth of time had passed, massive amounts of immortal power and immortal Yuan, as well as various powers of laws, began to surge from within Lin Jing's body. And Lin Jing's cultivation began to fall rapidly. At the same time, the entire immortal Tao realm began to change. Countless shattered immortal mountains and lands began to converge and slowly assemble. Even the immortal pillar under Lin Jing's feet began to slowly repair. Lin Jing watched everything before him and couldn't help but show a slight smile. I believe it won't be long. We will meet again in this immortal Tao realm. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, 3,000 years had passed since Lin Jing left. 2,000 years, such an interval for mortals. Even the dynasties among mortals probably would have changed countless times. For Li Qingling, however, these 3,000 years had allowed him to succeed in ascending from the Tao integration stage to the pinnacle of Mahayana, reaching the zenith of the cultivation world. Moving forward, only by taking the ascension pill could he break through again. At this time, in the Li family within Nanshan immortal city of the Nanming domain, Li Qingling and Huang Qingling sat opposite each other, conversing. Huang Qingling, holding the ascension pill contained a jade box, asked, Qing, do you plan to take this ascension pill now? Li Qingling nodded and said, Yes, Sister Qingling, I plan to take the ascension pill now to advance to the rank of Void Immortal. After I reach the rank of Void Immortal, I need Sister Qingling to help me open the boundary wall, as I wish to go to the immortal Tao realm to see him. Upon hearing this, Huang Qingling was at a loss for words. Don't you know how dangerous the immortal Tao realm is? Li Qingling nodded and said, I know, but he is there. Li Qingling's words left Huang Qingling even more speechless. Qing, there's really no arguing with you. I don't even know when you fell for him. Upon hearing this, Li Qingling first smiled, then her face took on a reminiscent hue, and she said, Perhaps it was that time, when I was captured and placed in the auction house, at my most helpless moment. And it was then that Lin Jing suddenly appeared. I understand. Huang Qingling nodded. At that moment, Li Qingling suddenly spoke up, addressing Huang Qingling. It's just you, Sister Qingling, whose soul fragment has awakened and recovered all feelings for Brother Lin Jing. Don't you have any feelings for him? After hearing this, Huang Qingling's face involuntarily flushed red. Then, she quickly spoke up to cover it. Who would have feelings for him? Following that, Huang Qingling gritted her teeth and said, That scoundrel. He knew I had been searching for clues about my parents all along, yet he waited until the very last moment before leaving to give them to me. It made me search in vain for so long. Li Qingqing couldn't help but laugh upon hearing this. You're right, Sister Qingling, he is a scoundrel. At this time, Huang Qingling also quickly spoke up. All right, just take the ascension pill first. When the time comes, I'll help you enter the immortal Dao realm. However, we must agree beforehand that if it's safe, you can go, but if there's danger, you must come back immediately. Before he left, I promised him I would take good care of you. Li Qingqing nodded, then said, Don't worry, Sister Qingling. I know my limits. A month later, at the end of the void-like celestial river, in the same original location, Huang Qingling and Li Qingqing, both with immortal power surging around them, frowned as they looked towards the empty space in front of them. Li Qingqing asked Huang Qingling, What's happening? Why can't the barrier to the immortal realm be opened? Huang Qingling's brows furrowed as she stared at the barrier in front of them. They had broken it twice before, each time easily opening the barrier to the immortal realm, but this time, despite their long efforts, they had failed to open it. Clearly, there must have been tremendous changes in the immortal Dao realm, and these changes could possibly relate to Lin Jing. Huang Qingling then spoke up, sharing her speculation. There must have been some changes inside the immortal Dao realm that we are unaware of, and it's highly likely that these changes are related to Lin Jing. Li Qingqing, looking at the spatial barrier that remained unmarked despite their attacks, sank into a profound sense of loss. Changes in the immortal Dao realm. Does that mean we really have no way to see Brother Lin Jing again? Upon hearing this, Huang Qingling paused before speaking. Perhaps there is still a way. Only, it's not something we can control. What way? Li Qingqing, immediately regaining her spirit, asked Huang Qingling urgently. Before Huang Qingling could speak, as though replying to Li Qingqing, the entire world seemed to undergo a drastic change. Both of them could distinctly feel as though there was a heavenly calling, as if wanting to lead them to another place, more fitting for them. It seemed like the rhythm of ascension. Feeling this calling, Huang Qingling's eyes instantly lit up as she excitedly said, This is it. Before Lin Jing left, he said that if we felt the power of ascension, we would be able to see him again. Ascension. Hearing this, Li Qingqing's eyes instantly became filled with determination. And at that moment, above their heads, a portal radiating 9-colored light appeared. Accompanying the appearance of the portal were the forming, colorful clouds of tribulation. However, just as the tribulation clouds began to form, before any tribulation lightning could fall, they seemed to detect the cultivation of the two and immediately dissipated without reappearing. After the tribulation clouds vanished, the portal opened with celestial music resonating within, and immortal energy spilled out, making one feel instantly refreshed and clear-headed. Following the appearance of the portal, the immortal energy paved a path of 9 colors right to their feet. Huang Qingling and Li Qingqing looked at each other, then stepped onto the 9-colored path in response to the calling power. Then, the two of them followed the 9-colored path into the portal, disappearing from sight. This is the immortal Dao realm. Li Qingqing and Huang Qingling, facing the scene before them that surpassed anything in the Xianqing realm in magnificence, and feeling the thick, immortal energy, murmured. Just as their words fell, a very familiar voice, one which they would never forget in their lifetime, reached them. That's right. This is the immortal Dao realm. Qingqing, Qingling. Welcome to the immortal Dao realm.